house in Coeur d'Alene. And I will show you guys kind of what that looks like. There's a couple of properties that I saw this morning, and you'll see even on market deals, you'll see in the description people indicating motivation. Okay, so let's look at that. Oh my gosh, check this out. 6761. Look at this deal. I bought basically a year and a half ago. It's gone up $300,000. Oh my gosh. What a great deal that was. Seller finance deal. Okay, so let's go back to Zillow and let's say Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. There's a house I'm looking at, some dope spots, by the way. If you guys ever get to that point where you're like, I need a mountain home, Coeur d'Alene's a spot. Okay, I want things that are for sale. Let's go back to the map. Okay, there's this cool property right here. As you can see, I've already looked at it. Okay, it's on, let's look at the overview. Wow, this really just wants to be challenging for me. Okay, here we go. Excellent close to town location, blah, 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 blah. The main home, da, 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 da. Here you go, make offer, all offers considered. Okay, you can see typically how long something's been on the market. This seller is, for some reason, it's not getting a lot of saves. Okay, they've actually refreshed it on Zillow multiple times. They can't sell it. And so this is somebody that you would want to look at the history of and you go, oh, okay, well, they've relisted it multiple times. They bought it. Ooh, look at that. They bought it as a foreclosed auction not even that long ago. And now they're reselling it for $1.4 million. Okay, so they're going to drop the price again. They're going to drop the price again. So I saw this morning, and I then started looking through the descriptions on things, and you'll see all sorts of stuff that I found. This one's dope too. Anyway, so you'll see a lot of stuff on Zillow. If it doesn't show an indication of pain, like they haven't been on Zillow for over 30 days, typically it's not a good deal. And so you want to look at how many times it's been listed, how many times it's been reduced. So if you just find something on Zillow, let's clarify something really quickly for people. This is one of your cash buyers' biggest pet peeves is your guys' inability to know what a good deal is. Okay, so let's look in here and say, okay, this property has been listed for 43 days. Probably a good sign of some pain coming up, right? 43 days. Okay. Would this also indicate some pain? A price cut of $10,000, that's 5% drop. Okay, now we're talking about some motivation here. Okay, do you think this property right here, 1 day on Zillow, is a good idea for you to go and waste an agent's time for a 1 day on Zillow for a brand new renovated property? Meanwhile, I get people that send me stuff like this in my DMs and go, Pace, what do you think about this property? I'm like, it's great. I hope a homeowner buys that and moves in it and overpays for it. What is an investor going to do with that? Okay. So this is what you guys need to understand. You absolutely need to understand the difference between what we're doing and what agents do. Okay. What we do on a daily basis is we look for deals. If a house has been on the MLS fully renovated or brand new construction, and it's been on Zillow or MLS 1 day, is that a deal that you should be spending your time on as an investor? Okay. All right. However, there are people in here, surprisingly, that I say this to and they go, oh, thank you. Hold on. And there's people taking notes right now. Anybody, are you one of those people? Give me a yes in the comments. Are you taking notes and understanding this? Okay. See, there's a lot of people that don't actually understand that at the highest level, and they have to take notes of this. So this is why we're chronologically going through this and making sure you guys understand this. Do not waste a seller's time on market and try and get a big, deep discount if it hasn't been on the market for, what you write is what you invite. I love that. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. All right, cool. So if a seller, like that deal that was on Zillow for 1.4 million, okay, they've relisted 3 times. They've reduced their price $200,000, right? These are signs of pain, right? It doesn't mean they're in foreclosure, but that seller, they're not in foreclosure, they're not in bankruptcy or anything like that, but I've got some pretty clear signs of pain right here. So what I would do, I am going to call them tomorrow, and I'll maybe do that during the challenge, is I'll call that agent and I'll say, hey, I'd like to offer you a seller finance option. And they go, okay, well, send me your terms and I'll show you guys how that works. And I'll tell you guys what I say to an agent when it comes down to that. Okay. However, every transaction you'll ever buy starts right here. Starts with the seller. Always starts with the seller. Okay. So there's 3 ways that a seller will sell a property. Okay. Here are the 3 ways a seller will sell a property. First way is for sale by owner. What does for sale by owner mean? It means that the homeowner does not respect agents. Sorry, it's true. It means that they do not value other people making money. And they are if something's going to be done right, it needs to be done by me type of person. Okay. So I don't really waste my time with FSBOs. It doesn't mean that there's not deals in there. In fact, I have a lot of students that have gotten their first deals by calling FSBOs, right? And agents, when you become a real estate agent, you are taught that in order for you to go get listings or agreements to sell people's houses, you call FSBOs. Okay. The second way that people sell houses is through an agent, right? And the agent then goes and does what with the property? Where do they list it? Okay, so Mark Rojas says, how do agents get paid if recommend their client sell on seller finance? Mark, they get paid the same way. They get paid a commission. Now, the challenge that you're talking about, Mark, let's have a little conversation about that just real quick, okay? Mark, the problem you're having in your mind, I know exactly where this is coming from. Mark, you there?
I'm here.
So you think that every seller finance deal is a 0 down seller finance deal?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. So in a 0 down seller finance deal, typically the 0 down seller finance deals are coming from the third thing and the third way that sellers sell their house, which is direct to an investor or wholesaler. Okay. If you have an agent involved in a deal, you are not going to get a 0 down seller finance deal. And why is that, Mark?
Because they have to get their commission, right?
Right. They got to get paid. And if you tell an agent, I'd like to do a 0 down seller finance deal, do you think the agent's even going to present that opportunity to their seller? As illegal as that is, do you think they're going to present that offer?
Not at all.
Not at all. It's not going to happen. They'll lie to you. Guys, I associate with a lot of real estate agents. It's actually illegal for them not to present any and all offers to their seller. It is in their agreement. It is their job as the fiduciary, right? They have a financial obligation to that seller. They have agency over that seller's house. It's their job to present any and all offers, as long as the seller says, I don't ever want to see offers that are below this. Okay. But I can tell you that sellers are not sitting there saying, I don't want to see a 0 down seller finance deal. Okay. That's not what sellers don't even know that exists for the most part. Right. So what's happening is when you go to an agent and you want to work a seller finance deal, the line that you have with the seller finance deal and an agent is, hey, agent, if I could get your commission paid, would your seller be open to creative finance or seller finance? Key item there. If I could get your commission paid, that's the key to unlock that door. Okay, you're not going to be able to get that agent to present to their seller if you don't tell them they're going to get paid in your opening line.
Right. So, but my question is, like, with cash, they get paid right away, but with seller finance, they might not get paid right away. Is that correct?
Yep. So I'm gonna tell you guys something that's very interesting. You guys see a lot of my Instagram and my YouTube stuff about 0 down, 0% seller finance, all those kind of things, right? That doesn't mean that's all my deals. Okay. The majority of all real estate deals do require some sort of skin in the game. Okay. Unless there's a high level of motivation or a high level of pain. So I'll give you an example. Let's see a couple of deals. Oh, I got one right now. I got a deal right now in Chandler, Arizona. It's a sub 2 deal. And I will give you guys the address. I'm buying the deal from one of my students who was having a hard time structuring it. Sorry. Marlon Johnson, one of my students, very smart guy, very, very smart guy. I'm going to pull up this deal. I've got a great interview with an agent. It's her first deal. 1832 West Spruce Drive. Let's pull that up. 1832 West Spruce Drive. So this is her first this is her first seller finance deal. It's actually part subject to and part seller finance. And let me pull this up real quick. Little cutie house, turning it into either a corporate rental or an Airbnb. So really good house. 5-bed, 3-bath, really great neighborhood, right off the freeway. So it could be a really good Airbnb. Let's see what Zillow says it's worth. So Zillow says it's worth $750. I'm actually buying it for $780. Okay. And I'll walk you through the structure just real quick. I really don't want to turn this into a creative finance conversation, guys. So if you have another creative finance question, please refrain. That is not what this Zoom is about. I'm doing Mark a favor because I really want you guys to understand how agents get paid. If you ask another conversation about, if we have another question about creative finance, let's please keep it for another conversation. Okay. So here's how that agent's getting paid. I'm buying that property for $780,000. Surprise, surprise, guys. I'm going to tell you guys something really interesting. You guys ever heard of the Burr strategy? Who has heard of the Burr strategy? And how much money do you think the average Burr investor is investing into their deals in a percentage basis? If you tell me 20%, I'll karate chop you. It's not 20%. Don't lie to yourself. Okay. And don't let the Burr educators lie to you either. It's 30 to 35%. Okay. A lot of times it could be more, could be 40%. So if I'm going to buy this deal at $780,000, how much money do I have to have invested in this deal if I'm going to do the Burr strategy? And some people criticize me. They go, it has 4 R's. And I go, no, it does not. The Burr strategy only has 4 R's if you can repeat with the same money that you had in the first deal. The reason why I used the correct spelling is because 99.9% of Burr strategy investors will not be able to repeat with the same money. Okay. What they're doing is they're getting sucked into this world of Burr, and the Burr educators out there are like, you'll get all your money back out when you refinance and you can repeat. That's what this last R means, is repeat. Okay. Well, what happens when your lender, okay, right here, your lender is going to ask you for 30 to 35% to be tied up in that deal? That's $240,000. Mark, I want you to understand something very clearly right now. And I want everybody else to understand this very clearly. The average real estate investor, there's over 14 million landlords in the country right now. The average real estate investor is putting over 30% plus as a down payment on every house they buy. Can we all understand this? Can we all move past this? So can we all agree that this is where people invest their money? Okay. This is how they invest their money. This is where wealthy people put their capital. They could either put it in stocks, bonds, crypto, buying other businesses, or they can put it into real estate. Okay. rich people put money into real estate. They're not just buying up 0% seller finance deals, 0 down seller finance deals, 0 down sub 2 deals. Okay. That is something we teach that is like a cheat code to get past that. But the overwhelming majority of people that buy properties as rentals are putting how much money down and going out and getting loans. Okay. So, Mark, just because you hear me or other people, a lot of our students are doing a lot of 0 down deals, doesn't mean that's what the other 14 million people and the common practice of real estate is 0 down deals, right? That's a common thing. Even owner financing deals. Okay. If you go on here, I'll show you an owner finance deal on the MLS right now. Owner finance, seller finance is the same thing. Okay. If I pull up, and I'll show you how that agent's going to get paid in just a second. Just want to make sure you guys understand this before we move on. Okay. The deal I was looking at, I was trying to get Cody to buy this deal because it's like 2 streets away from me, is a deal on 1749 North Lemon. Let's pull it up on screen share. Give you guys a little screen share action. Okay, this is active on the MLS right now. Look at this house. Anybody want this house? This is two streets away from me. Cute house, right? Fully redone, remodeled. Spent a bunch of money on it, about 5,000 square feet, decked out. Awesome. They're selling this on seller finance. Okay. Let's see, where's the map? Let's see where my house is in conjunction to this. I live right here. And this, I was trying to get Cody to get this. This is like a whole gated community over here. And then you turn around and this is my gated community. We have like, 10 houses in my neighborhood or whatever. So anyway, with this house, I hung out on my backyard. This is my house right here. And this house is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses away from my house. So it's really, really close. I was trying to get Cody to buy it. It's on seller finance. So no credit check, none of that stuff. But what does the seller want? Seller's selling that for $2.25 million with cash or $2.5 million seller finance. And the seller is wanting $500,000 as a down payment. Now, for a lot of you guys go, oh, that's not a good deal. Guys, that's a phenomenal deal. Think about all these people that are business owners. Anybody in here that make good money but can't go out and get a conventional loan today? I can't get a conventional loan. Okay, so seller finance, creative finance is absolutely amazing. Okay. Yes, actually, that is another Jerry house. That's him and his brother. Why Cody won't buy that? To be honest with you, Cody is the most conservative person ever, except for when it comes to cars. He'll buy a Porsche 911 or all sorts of things, but he won't go and spend money on a big old house because, a big house is actually a liability. It costs a lot of money to maintain. So everybody's a little bit different, right? So in that situation, there's deals on every MLS right now nationwide. Okay. There's deals nationwide that you can buy with seller finance, but most of the time not most of the time, 100% of the time, when you have a seller selling on seller finance through an agent, you are going to have to pay a down payment. Do we all understand why? There's 2 reasons why. Okay. 2 reasons why. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of cool things. Okay. One is if you are communicating to an agent and you're submitting an offer to an agent, are you directly communicating with the seller? And do you have the ability to build this amazing thing called rapport and trust with that seller that you can negotiate? And you'll ask the question, how do you get a lot of creative finance deals? Well, guys, it's right here, rapport and trust. So how can I build rapport and trust when the agent and I actually have opposing goals? Well, you're not going to. So what you have to do is you have to have an opening line with that seller or that agent. And you have to say, if I could get your commission paid, could we go to your seller and ask for seller finance? Okay. So what's the third way that sellers sell their properties, guys? They sell FSBO or they sell through agents, right? What's the third way? There you go. It is wholesalers or investors. Okay. Kind of the same thing. They go hand in hand. Those are the only three ways. Is there another way a seller can sell their house that I'm not aware of? They could donate. That's not selling a house, Jimmy. I'm not sure where your description of donate is. Guys, stop using the word structure. Okay. When you use the word structure, you're confusing yourself. Stop using the word structure. It's a confusing term. When you say stuff like Pace, how do you structure an agent's commission? What are you actually asking me is not how do I structure an agent's commission? You're asking me, are you paying the agent the same commission as they would on a cash deal? Is that what you're asking me? Okay, we're gonna move on from creative finance today. Okay, guys, this is my last part. I'm gonna answer, and if we go into another creative finance thing, you guys are gonna have to go to a different Zoom. Maybe there's another educator doing something on Sunday morning. I'm not sure. Okay, so I've got a seller that in a normal transaction, if a buyer was going to buy this deal in Chandler, the one I showed you guys earlier with Marlon, the buyer would have to come in with that much money. Okay. That's the average amount of money an investor is buying houses for. Okay. So that's where the agent gets their commission. They get their commission out of the $240,000 down payment. If somebody put that much money down. Okay. What I did with my deal is I bought the deal for, Mark, if you're unmuted, so if you have a question about this and you want to chat about it before we move on, I want to make sure you're very, very clear on this. Okay, so the seller owes $400,000 on a sub-2 loan. Okay, and that means he has $380,000 in equity. Okay, I'm buying this property in what we call a hybrid, which means it's part sub-2 and part seller finance. Okay, this also answers a question all the time when people are like, well, how do you do a deal where somebody has so much money in equity? Because you think you're going to have to pay that $380,000 down. Where I'm already losing people, by the way. So I got to go back to cash deals. Okay. Not going to teach creative finance. I got to say that one last time. That is not the Zoom for today. So shame for asking me a creative finance question. So, $780,000. What I'm doing is I'm giving $50,000 as a down payment. Okay. So here's what's great. An agent in a regular world, the agent representing the seller is going to get paid 3% of $780,000. So guys, what's that number? 3% of $780,000. $22,000. Okay, great. So the agent who's representing the seller is going to get a $22,000 commission. Guys, did I short this seller or did I short the agent on their commission or did they get a full commission for doing this deal? Okay, so can I answer this question to you again? How does an agent get paid? They get paid the same damn way any other agent gets paid. They get paid a commission based off the sales price. Okay?
Got it. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, so here's the thing, Mark. I am a badass with creative finance because how much money did I save by not going a conventional route in terms of my down payment? If you were paying attention, the average investor would have had to put $240,000 down to go and get a conventional mortgage to buy this property. Is that correct?
Yeah. So 72%.
Mark, did you fall asleep?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Do you remember what we said? The average investor is going to put $240,000 on a transaction like this because the average investor, 14 million of them are putting 30% down on deals like this.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
Okay. So how much money did I not have to put down because I went with a creative finance deal?
Over $100,000, 102,000.
Right. So it's $190,000 I saved in down payment because I used creative finance. And more importantly, I took over that. So this $380,000 that's left over for his equity, it's now paid down to $330,000. And guess what interest rate I'm getting on that? 0%. Okay. But I still put $50,000 down. Okay. So I put 6% down on this deal. And out of that 6%, okay, and where did the 6% come from? The seller just said 50 grand, pay me, put 50 grand down. I said, okay, makes sense. I'll do that all day long. The hardest thing that you guys have is that a lot of you don't own rental properties. And a lot of you don't know what it feels like to own rental properties. And a lot of you have never gone to a lender and said, I want to buy that rental property that an agent has listed on the MLS, and then gone through the process to go, holy moly, this is what people are putting as a down payment. You guys are in my world. And so you just assume people are getting free houses. You forget how powerful creative finance is because this is the only world you know. Go out there right now. See, Gladys says, I have, and I'm not going back. 99.9% of investors that go out there and go, hey, I want to invest in real estate, got to come up with $240,000. And in today's environment, how much money would they have to have put down? What interest rate would they have gotten today for that deal? 6 to 7%, right? And by next month, they're going to raise the rates another point. It might be upwards of 8%. So guess what I did? I took over. I bought the property for $780,000 on paper. Okay. The 400, what was the number? $400,000 is my sub 2 loan. Okay. And by the way, he's been paying this down for 10 years. So I took over a loan that's already been, most of the interest has already been paid. His interest rate on this is 3.5%. Okay. 3.5%. That's pretty powerful, wouldn't you say? Then the other $380,000, he asked me to give him $50,000 down for that. So he's going to finance me $330,000 at 0%. And he's going to give me 10 years to refinance him, sell the property, or pay him all off in cash. Okay. So would you say that that's a phenomenal way to get into real estate? Or do you guys want to go the conventional route that everybody teaches you, which is the BRRRR strategy, which is put down 35% of your money, and stop calling the BRRRR with 4 R's. It's not 4 R's, it's 3 R's. The R you're missing that I see everybody use is a word called repeat. You are not repeating when you continually put 30% of the deal tied up in the deal. How many people could go out and continually do a BRRRR deal every month if you have to put 30% into the deal? Okay, so when you hear people talking about the BRRRR strategy and they say it's 4 R's, go, no, I see that. I see it works. It definitely does work, but 99.9% of the time, you're not pulling all your money out. Okay, this is why creative finance is powerful, is because I put way less money down. I can structure 0%. Guess what? I cannot structure on BRRRR strategy. I cannot structure anything other than 8% right now. I took over a 3.5% loan that's already 10 years old, which means most of the interest had been paid. And then the rest of his equity, I structured at 0%. So my average interest rate is probably like 1.7% between all of that money. That's pretty powerful. Okay. So that is, you guys need to understand that. That's how the average investor, guys, what's the average real estate investor? You go to a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, anybody that has excess cash that wants to invest in real estate. How are they investing in real estate? They're going out, they're going to an agent, and they're putting 35% down on a commercial loan, and they're sinking a ton of cash into it. And guess what? It's still a great investment. Even putting 30% down on a deal is a great investment. You can't lose with real estate. So on that deal in Chandler, Mark, did my agent get paid a full commission, and did I get a phenomenal deal structured for creative finance?
Absolutely.
Okay, so have we sufficiently answered the question how an agent gets paid on a creative finance deal?
Yes. Thank you.
And even if I do end up putting some money down, okay, this is where the challenge is, okay? If I told you guys every little thing I have to do on a daily basis to be the person that I am on a daily basis, guess what you would want to do? Not even try to start. You give people digestible information that gets them to move forward. And as they move further down the path, they can handle more because they have momentum. Okay. Does that make sense? So that's what we're trying to do here today. We're trying to give you guys some digestible information. So let's go back to the basics. We deviated, and I wasted 40 minutes of my day deviating from something that was not on the plan. So let's go back to it. What are the 3 ways that a seller sells a property? They either sell it themselves, for sale by owner. They list a sign in the yard. They go on Zillow. They go on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Okay. Ed is saying, what type of list do you run? Ed, that's not this Zoom. Okay. They either call their agent friends, right? And they go, hey, will you list my property for me? This is kind of the most conventional way, right? Agents are representing these people. And agents really do have a really great job description. The problem why most people don't like agents is because if you have a job description, I'd say that most agents do about 2% of what they're supposed to do in their job. Most agents are lazy. My wife is not one of those people. My agent does her job and goes above and beyond. Most agents don't even pick up their phone. Okay. So then the third way this happens is wholesalers and investors are reaching out to the seller. Typically, you are, this is where it starts getting really confusing. Okay. You guys ready for some confusing stuff? This is where it gets really confusing for a lot of people because they're like, wait a minute. So a wholesale, okay, so I've got option 1 is a FSBO. That's what the seller could do. Okay. 2 is an agent. Or 3, you've got the wholesaler or the investor are going to directly reach out to that seller through what we call direct to seller. Okay. Direct to seller is like cold call, billboards, radio. You guys list them all off in the side chat. What other ways? Door knock. It's amazing how hard I have to work to get people to understand direct to seller, right? Letters. Somebody will go postcards, as if letters and postcards are really that different, but bandit signs, Facebook, IG, SEO, websites, TV, TV ads. Okay, PPC, that's a good one. Most expensive one, but okay. So all of this stuff is direct to seller, right? Texting, email. I don't know how you would do email, but okay, word of mouth, stalking, driving for deal. Well, driving for deals, you still have to call somebody. You can't just drive by their house and have a conversation. Typically, you have to do something like door knock. There you go. There's a new one. RVM. That's a good one. Okay, so do we truly understand what direct to seller means, guys? When I bring up direct to seller, do I have to deviate and like explain to? I have to explain to you every time what direct to seller is, or can we move on from what direct to seller is? Okay. So I'm directly communicating to the seller somehow, some way. All right. So that's what wholesalers and investors do. All right. Now, this is where it gets a little bit confusing right here. What can an agent do now? An agent can either A, sell it on the MLS, or B, sell it to a wholesaler or an investor. So there's multiple lines in this opportunity for a wholesaler or an investor. Wholesaler and investor, you can either go directly to the seller or you can go directly to agents who are representing those sellers. Both of them work. Okay? Both of them work. The advantages and disadvantage of both of these is, okay, if I am, let's say I'm a wholesaler, okay, and I'm in line and I'm communicating with an agent, what are the advantages of doing direct to agent? What is the advantage? You guys that I'm talking to right now, this is you. This is also you here, right? This little part right here is you. What's the advantage to a direct to agent? Let's talk about it. Less competition. Agents are direct to seller. Yep. Relationships. Okay. So here's guess what you don't have to do. You don't have to find sellers who want to sell. Okay. The agent did that for you. The agent took care of a lot of the work for you. They found the motivated seller for you. And so that lead, they've already thrown on the market and said, hey, this person wants to sell their house. So that's the biggest advantage of working with direct to agent, is that the agent has done that upfront work for you. Okay. There's other advantages. A lot of this is free. It's very inexpensive, which is why we are going to be using Privy to annihilate this future challenge. That's really the only cost you have to spend when you're doing direct to agent. Okay. Pretty powerful. Okay. Another advantage is, relationships with agents. So once you do a couple of deals with agents, like the agent I just did that Chandler deal with that I showed you guys, this Spruce Drive deal, that agent, not this deal, but this deal, the deal that I'm buying this sub to, this agent is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is a thing. Like I have so many sellers that this could benefit. Do you want more deals? Okay, well, guess what I now have? I now have a referral source that's going to continually bring me more and more and more deals. And this is how you build a business, right? So do we see the advantages of direct to agent? And do you guys understand why now this elephant challenge is focusing right now on direct to agent? Okay. I am not going to be teaching you direct to seller just yet. Okay. And the disadvantage, here's the disadvantage to working with agents. What is the disadvantage? Guys, throw me a couple of disadvantages of working with agents. No ability. I shouldn't say that. 99% of the time, no ability to communicate with the seller. So a lot of times you'll say, hey, would the seller want this, or would they do this, or would you have no control. Okay. You have no control. So if you're okay with that, it's a good way to go. So there's a disadvantage there. The other disadvantage is agents want to use their contracts typically. Okay. They want to use the state contract, and I'm okay with that. And we'll teach you guys how to adjust them and add addendums and stuff like that. Okay. A lot of agents are actually not educated. I'm so sorry if you are an agent out there watching this right now. It's not that I hate agents. I just do not enjoy 99% of agents who don't understand anything other than listing houses and representing buyers that are not actual investor friendly. You know what's interesting, guys? There's a really interesting statistic. Did you know that over 80% of real estate agents don't even own one house themselves? That's a very interesting statistic. Over 80% of agents are renting. However, their full-time job is to represent buyers and sellers of real estate. They don't even own their own houses. They don't even know what it feels like to go through an actual mortgage application and go through a transaction themselves. Okay, so when you guys have a hard time trying to convince an agent that this deal is not a deal, well, guess what? They've never been trained on what an investor is supposed to do. And so this is going to be a challenge, okay? At the end of the day, when you work with agents, you will be challenged by a couple of things. They don't pick up their phones. Okay, they don't pick up. They don't understand comps. And I know that a lot of this is redundant for my students, but they don't represent sellers very well. And they don't know how to manage expectations, okay? So, for example, my wife will not take a listing. So let's say a seller calls my wife, right? Here's the seller, and they go, "Hey, I see on Zillow, Laura, that my house is worth $500,000, but the market's hot right now, so I would like to list this for $550,000." And my wife said, my wife will say, "No, I will not represent you. I'm not a hungry, thirsty person that's going to put myself in a horrible situation." But guess what, guys? Most agents will say, "Hell yeah, let's do it. Let's do it." And they'll say stuff like, "Yeah, we'll do the best we can." And they think the seller, you guys ever heard the phrase, people hear what they want to hear? When the agent says, "Sure, I'll try," all the seller heard you say was yes. And then 3, 4, 5 months later, what happens is agents look really stupid. They should have never taken that listing, and they should have managed that seller's expectations. Okay. I'm sorry if you're an agent, but anybody that's in here that's an agent right now that hates my guts, or do you just completely agree with me that most agents do not understand how to manage real estate expectations? Okay. And it's sad because you don't learn this stuff in real estate school. What you learn in real estate school is plotting maps that you'll never freaking use in your life. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because you need to understand this as we go into this challenge and we start talking to agents, that this is the expectation. Okay. It's the expectation that you're going to run into these agents. It's not the like the outlier that you're going to run into an agent that doesn't know their butt from a hole in the ground. It is the expectation that 90% of the agents you speak to will not understand real estate investing. They will not understand how to comp a property. Does anybody not know that they do not actually teach you? You go to school, you pay thousands of dollars to go to school as an agent. They don't teach you to comp. You go work for a broker. They also do not teach you to comp. So most agents out there, anybody that's an agent that learned how to comp in real estate school, did your broker sit down and teach you for months and months and months? Or have I taught you more about comping than any broker or real estate school did? Okay. Juan Lopez says, "I am a broker," and the answer is no. Okay. So this is not a problem. I don't hate agents for this. It's just something that we need to expect when we walk into these relationships. Okay. We need to have ultra patience. We need to understand that when we're working with agents, Tigger says, what do they do then? They take orders. Okay. They take orders. And a seller says, well, and then what they do is they go to Zillow. And then when the house doesn't sell, it makes them look really bad. Here, I'll give you a really great testimonial. Let's see. See if I can find it. Okay, here's a really good testimonial. This is what I'm talking about, okay? Let me walk you guys through a really quick testimonial with one of my sellers I bought a house from that was being represented by an agent, just so you guys have a really good explanation. Right here. For those of you, this is one of my best sellers who actually helped me create this logo on my hat. For those of you who are having a hard time selling your house with a realtor, stop. Realtors suck, and spent months and months lying to me. These so-called professionals only care about telling you what they want to hear so they can dig their commissions out of you for doing very little work. Guys, this is the sentiment of most sellers. Okay? Not many sellers are excited about hiring a real estate agent. I'm sorry. They just don't know any other way to sell their property other than FSBO, which they don't have time for. Okay. My wife and I had a beautiful home in Las Sendas. We built our house in 2002. After 17 years, it needed some work, not going to lie. We called the realtor. We advised the realtor we did not want to put one dime into our home, and we were building a new home. Although the realtor didn't want to hear this, we wanted to sell it as is. The realtor said it would sell in a week in our neighborhood. This is where the first lie came in. I kid you not, 44 walkthroughs over a 2-month period. One of our major questions to the realtor was like, I work from home. We have a dog. Will this burden will this be a burden or a problem? Realtor said, typically, if a buyer is interested, I would put a note on the MLS to call first. Our realtor would text me once a buyer was interested, and I'd have 10 to 15 minutes tops for a realtor with client to leave. This is what I was told. We had a Ring camera at our house. I was able to see and hear everything and everyone who walked through our home. We had a digital lockbox on our house bib outside the house, blah, blah, blah. 50% of realtors ran late for the appointment. Okay. You guys remember realtors don't pick up their phone. They're not professionals. It is the lowest rung on the ladder when getting into real estate. Guys, real estate agents are not what you think they are. They're hyper disorganized. They're like, I want to get into real estate, so they go get a real estate license. This is what they do. They don't have any experience. They're not trained or anything. Most almost an hour late at times. They never gave the common courtesy to call me, let me know they were running late. Mind you, I had a dog with me in the car panting and fogging at my windows. Guys, this is Arizona. This is 120 degrees outside. Your seller has now been displaced at their house. Other realtors couldn't even follow simple instructions that were listed on the MLS lockbox. And I could hear realtors from our camera try multiple times open the lockbox. They couldn't. They were like, shit, what the hell is wrong? It was pathetic. Yes, I watched this from my iPhone in my car, driving around my community, wasting my gas every day for 2 months. It sucked. The other half of the realtors said they would be there at a certain time. They wouldn't even show up. My realtor said that if there were any issues to call or text her. I did, but rarely heard back. She was in meetings or showing houses herself or busy. I worked from home, handing conferences, blah, 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 blah. At one point, I was so pissed off, it affected my well-being. I got so pissed off, I took it on my family and got mad at the world. My stress level went through the roof. My wife was livid, and every story I told her, she wanted to scream and felt so bad for me. It was, part of my French, an effing nightmare. After 44 showings, I said to my wife, it's time to call an investor. This is when I met Pace and his beautiful wife. Pace sat me down and explained every detail. I'd never heard of Subject 2 or any creative finance scenarios before. I'm not in real estate, so this was all new to me. At the end of the day, it seemed like it was the only solution for us, and honestly, the best solution as well. Okay, great. Pace even walked our lender through the process. This is a great transaction, a really great testimony. I'll go on further. But I have a lot of sellers that are the same thing. They deal with agents, and agents lie to them. Guys, why did I end up buying that house Subject 2? I'll tell you why. Okay. Pay attention to this, because this will give you some really good clarification of how clueless most agents are. Now, if you are one of the 5% of agents that actually know things, I am not talking to you. Okay. I am talking to about the other 95% of agents. And in fact, do you know who hates these 95% of agents more than anybody else? These 5% of agents. Okay. If you are an agent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These agents are who I'm talking about. These agents here understand the investor world. Okay. These agents actually own properties. These agents want to invest themselves and are actually investors. Okay. They utilize their real estate license as experience to become an investor. Okay. So here's what happened. The seller on this property, you guys can pull it up. It's 2720 North Sterling in Mesa, Arizona. I still own it to this day. I bought the property. I'll pull it up. Might as well, heck with it. Gives you guys a good clarification. I'm giving you guys expectations, by the way. I'm trying to get you guys to get to a point where you understand what we're about to run into here in the next week or so as you talk to agents, and that you have a clear expectation. Ooh. All right. So I bought this property nearly 3 years ago, coming on 3 years. 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,100 square foot, 2720 North Sterling Avenue. I bought it for $372,788. Why such a very specific dollar amount, guys? It's because I bought it for the mortgage balance, $372,788. I bought it subject to. All right. Now, here's what's interesting. For a lot of you guys that don't understand this world, if the seller originally sold the house, put the house on the market for $410,000. Okay. Put the house on the market for $410,000. So let's do a little question here. How much equity, if the seller owes this much money, $372,788, how much equity does the seller have right here? Okay, Mary, she says 37 grand. Okay, it's interesting that some people say 0 and other people say 37 grand. There you go. Love it. Thank you so much for the people that understand this. If I sell a house for $410,000 on the market, the average seller in the United States, it costs them about 9% to sell their house. Pay attention to this. This is very important for you to understand. Okay, 3% to one agent, 3% to another agent. If you are the seller, guess what? The seller pays both agents. Sucks, but it's true. 100% of the time. There's no deviation from that. It's 100% of the time. Okay, so 3% to an agent, 3% to an agent, and then 3% for miscellaneous closing costs, home warranties, inspection, bins or items, all sorts of other miscellaneous things. It costs a seller 9% to sell their house on average. Okay, so equity, let me tell you what equity means, guys. If you don't know this, you're about to learn right now. What you have been told about equity has been a lie. Equity is what you have in your pocket after everyone and everything is paid. So let's do some homework. If Dave sold this house for $410,000, what would he have left over? Let's do the math. 410 multiplied by 0.09. What is the math on that? I actually don't know. 37,300 and whatever. Okay, cool. It's 36,000 or okay, it's 36,900. So if you have a $410,000 house, you list it on the MLS. Okay, $36,900. Take that out. What does that leave me with? $373. Okay, and what did we talk about? What did I buy it for? I bought it for $372,788. So could Dave have sold this property for $410,000 and actually walked away with not having to cut a check? Yes, if he got list. There you go. Chuck has the right answer. If he actually sold this and got an offer for $410,000, yes, he would have walked away with about what would he walk away with? $212. $212. Now, what you're also not taking into consideration, this is something else you're not taking into consideration. Okay, most agents don't know what this phrase is. It's called a seller net sheet. Okay, write this down. It's very important for you to understand this, especially when talking to sellers directly. A seller net sheet is that if I'm an agent, okay, if I'm an agent, I go to a seller and I'm going to have an appointment with them and they're going to say, yeah, list my property for me. Don't you think if you're going to have an agent sell a house for you, you would want to know exactly what it would take to sell that house and how much money you would have in your pocket after you paid off your mortgage and everything else? When you want to know that? Okay. Agents don't provide this for the most part, except the ones that are professional and competent. If you are an agent and you are listing properties without providing a seller net sheet, you should probably question yourself and your professionalism. Because what you're selling the house for and what the seller gets in their pocket is very important if you're representing their finances. A seller net sheet means you're going to sell it for this. It's going to reduce this much in commissions. And then because it's going to take us 4 months to sell this property, you're going to have 4 house payments, 4 sets of utilities, 4 sets of maintenance, like pool repair, or not pool repair, but pool maintenance, bug pest control, all that kind of stuff. Guys, Dave Byarski went through 4 months before he called me. His payment on his house is $1,900. Cost him $8,000 in house payments and utilities and all of these types of things. Okay. You guys have no clue what it really takes to sell a property. Now, here's what's interesting. Okay. And I always ask sellers, I go, oh, so you're working with an agent. Did they provide a seller net sheet to you? And they'll go, what's a seller net sheet? And I go, ask your agent what a seller net sheet is. And if they're clueless, you should not let them list your property. I like that. Radonna Gray says it's required for our listings. I love that. Okay, I love that. That's really good. Thank you. Okay, so I always tell, when I'm talking to a seller directly, I always tell the seller, I go, hey, if you were going to have an agent represent you, and I always ask this question, I go, make sure they give you a seller net sheet so you know what's actually in your paquito. What's in your pocket after you sell. Okay, now the challenge with Dave is, guess what Dave didn't get? After 4 months of a listing, Dave then had his house sold. He reduced his house to $380,000 on the market. Is Dave going to walk away with some money in his pocket if he sold it for $380,000? Okay, so listen to this. Here's the full story. After 4 months of having the property listed on the MLS, the agent finally gets an offer at $380,000. They get under contract. Dave then looks at the final settlement statement and found out he has to come to close with $30,000 out of his pocket. Do you think that's super awesome for a guy that just told this agent, I'm over here building another house? Guys, this is common in the real estate agent world. This is common. Agents do not communicate with their sellers because 80% of agents don't even own a house themselves. Am I trying to be disparaging towards agents? Absolutely not. I'm trying to give you the understanding of the climate and the understanding of the environment that you're about to walk into. Okay. So when you run into people and agents that you're like, wow, is this agent dumb? They might not be dumb. They're just uneducated. You are more educated about real estate than a licensed real estate agent. Right now, just understanding a seller net sheet, you have more information. Okay. So you're also learning how to comp. You're also learning paperwork. You're learning all sorts of cool things. You're going to learn all sorts of amazing stuff. You will know more about real estate than when an agent comes to me and says, Pace, I've been in the business for 25 years. I go, great. Congratulations. You've been a service provider to other people for 25 years. Not a problem. There's a lot of value there, but you've been doing real estate wrong for 25 years. That's all you've told me. So don't come to me and tell me how long you've been in there and how pretty your gold button is at Keller Williams. I want to see how many of your listings you listed on the MLS that actually fell out and failed because you couldn't give appropriate expectations to your sellers. So here's what's interesting. If you go pull up an agent, you guys, anybody that's an agent right now, you know this is easy to do. I could go on the MLS right now and I could pull up an agent and I could see how many expired listings they have. You would be shocked at how little an agent has to do to even be in the top 3% of the state. Do you guys know if you want to be in the top 3% of agents, meaning better than 97% of the agents, how many houses do you have to sell a year to be in the top 3%? It's 3. So you're telling me you don't have to own a house to be a real estate professional, and you have to only sell 3 houses a year to be in the top 3%? Now, in that top 3%, it starts compounding pretty dramatically, right? When you get in the top 1%, you got to be doing about 20 houses. You get the top like 0.5%, you're doing like 50 houses a year, okay? This is super important for you guys to know. It is super important for you guys to know, not because I'm trying to disparage agents. It's because I need you guys to understand the environment you're about to walk into. This coming week, when we start submitting offers to agents, should we be depleted, upset, frustrated if we don't get houses under contract? Okay, now here's what's going to happen. Here's some expectations for you. The other expectation is that you are going to make 25 offers. Okay, this is the goal. If you are using Privy and you are working on this challenge, you guys should be making 25 offers per week. How many deals should I get under contract for 25 offers? There we go. I love it. Good job, guys. You should be getting 1 contract. Okay, now, if I'm getting 1 contract per week, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to have 4 contracts per month. And out of those 4 contracts, here's what's going to happen. Listen to me. This is critical for you guys to understand. 1 will close without a transaction coordinator. Okay, 1 will close without a transaction coordinator. If you add a transaction coordinator to your business, you will go to 2 per month will close. Now, what are the reasons why? Okay, one of the reasons why I could go into this in a minute of like, why is a transaction coordinator so critical? I could go into that for a minute. Okay, but what are the reasons why the other 2 do not close? Why are the reasons why they do not close? Well, you bought it too high. You didn't comp properly. Okay. Your buyer changed their mind. Your buyer's lending fell out. A lot of times you'll get a seller who you find out they have a lien or a child support thing or something going on in the property that you didn't know about. So a lot of these things you don't have a lot of control over, except for you buying them too high and you comping them incorrectly. Okay. All right, cool. So let me go back to the transaction coordinator for just a minute. We'll move on to, my original plan. By the way, are you guys learning a lot of stuff? Is this helpful? Giving you guys good clarification? I've got 500 people here on Zoom, and I don't know what we have on YouTube. We might have, we have 200 people on YouTube. You guys know we're all in a Zoom right now. If you guys are on YouTube right now, let me give you the Zoom link for today. And we'll make sure that you guys have the ability to come over here. Okay, so people ask the question of what exactly does a transaction coordinator do? It's funny, like here, like it is so funny about how basic the word transaction coordinator is. It's like street sweeper. What does a street sweeper do? Great question. Okay, so you've heard of this thing called a street. Well, what they do is they sweep it, right? Firefighter. Great one, Effie. Okay. Transaction coordinator. Holy moly. It literally tells you what they do. But let me dig deep in that, okay? Transaction coordinator is very literal. It's one of the cleanest names in all of real estate. Okay. A transaction coordinator, especially when you're brand new, helps with paperwork up front. Okay. B, keeps title company on track. Provides buyers and sellers with weekly or daily updates. They coordinate with lenders. So for example, I've got a bunch of lenders in here in this Zoom. Okay. David Elston, you should be involving a TC. Guys, guys, I'm going to tell you something. I've done thousands of transactions in my life. I have literally never done one transaction in my life without a transaction coordinator. Never once. Okay. Never once have I done a deal without a transaction coordinator. Never will I ever do a deal without it. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. Okay. And there are people way better suited at reading documents and doing that kind of stuff than I am. Okay. So they coordinate with lenders. Who's a lender of mine? Who's given me money in this Zoom? Any of my lenders in here? Who's given me money in the past? Let's see. Yara a lot of times is in here. Wow. None of my lenders are in here. Yara, Paula. Oh, Yara is in here. Okay. So guys, there's Paula. So Paula, in the side chat, Paula, how many times do I communicate to you on a deal that you are funding for me? Oh, Ramon's loaned to me in the past. Paula, how many times do I personally communicate with you? Do I give you the wire information? None, zero, zilch. I never communicate with Paula. I love her and I'll send her voice memos and we're friends. Same thing with Yara. You got none. I don't communicate with you at all. What about when a seller has a mortgage balance that still hasn't paid off? What about when a seller is in foreclosure and somebody needs to stop the foreclosure? Who's the person that stops the foreclosure? Okay. You dummy wholesalers out there on YouTube are sitting here trying to do all this yourself. Okay. I could go on. Okay. I could go on and on and on and on and on and talk to you about all the things that they do. Okay. Here's a really great way to do it. They do everything the title company should. They fill the gaps. For me, they upload all my paperwork. They schedule the notary. They schedule the notary. They communicate with the notary. They pay the notary. They talk to my bookkeeper. My transaction coordinator has access to my bank account, so she wires money from my bank account. Guys, I'm out. Where do I make my money? Do I make my money doing coordination on my transaction? Or do I make my money going and getting a new transaction? So when people talk about money making activities, is doing transaction coordination. John Grove says, how much does a TC charge? Not enough. Legit, never enough. Never enough. I'll tell you that much right now. I used to pay a transaction coordinator like $350 per file, and it was not enough. And she was overwhelmed. So I'd pay more and more and more. And every time I do a deal and I make 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, whatever, here's the cool thing about transaction coordinators. You can actually make it so your buyer has to pay for the transaction coordinator's fee. Raheem, you can hire a transaction coordinator before the transaction is signed. Okay. before the transaction is signed. A lot of my transaction coordinators will actually get Steven Garcia. We are going to introduce transaction coordinators to you this coming week during the challenge. Remember what I talked to you guys about? We're going to do Burnaby. Did you guys not come to yesterday's training? Okay. Everybody's going to be put on. So this is the hardest part about my job, is knowing who shows up and who doesn't show up. It's like, I wish everybody would just show up. This coming week, we are creating teams, and everybody's going to have a transaction coordinator on everybody's team. You're also going to have a gator lender on your team to help you with your earnest money as well. Okay. My Facebook manager, Carly, is going to segment people into teams. The sub 2 students are going to be leaders of those teams, and you're going to have a transaction coordinator on every team, and you're also going to have a gator lender on every team that will supply you with earnest money if you need it. Okay? Yes, and Dispo. Y'all didn't show up yesterday, huh? We literally talked about it for an hour and a half yesterday. Our goal inside of this upcoming challenge is this week, we are making a goal on Wednesday to submit how many offers as a collective group. How many offers are we going to submit? Okay, we are going to break a world record of 966 offers this coming week. And then we are doing this challenge all over again, but not for 2 weeks. We're going to do it for 3 days. And what days are we going to do it? Next month in August. 17th, or no, it's 18th, 19th, and 20th. We're going to be doing it. Okay. And by that time, everybody will be on one of 50 teams that will be led by sub 2 students. It will have a transaction coordinator on every single team that has backing and support and training from me every single Saturday. And then we also will have a gator lender or more. Sometimes you need more than one gator lender on every single team. And you guys will then, in August, our goal is for everybody in the group to go and invite 5 people to this challenge. We want to break the next record in August, needs to be 2,000 offers submitted in 1 month. 1 day, actually. 2,000 offers submitted in one day. Okay. Are we all on the same page? Or did somebody just wake up from a coma and come out from underneath the rock that they've been under for the last week? I could try my hardest, guys. I can come in on Saturdays, Sundays, and you still got people who are like, wait, what? What's real estate? What's a real estate agent? I'm trying my hardest. This is why you guys got to be on teams, because people are going to have to, like, I can't do all the eye rolling. I got to have other people do some of the eye rolling for me. Like, oh man, here we go. You ain't paying attention. You're not taking notes, right? All right, cool. So everybody feeling good though? You guys feeling confident that you're going to have my sub 2 students as leaders on your teams? You're going to have my transaction coordinators as leaders on your teams. You're going to have my gators as lenders on your team. You guys feeling confident about this? Okay. I can't do this without you guys. Okay. And if you guys want this challenge to keep going, you have to take notes right now. You have to start thinking, who are the 5 people you are going to invite to next month's challenge? You don't need to invite them this week. In fact, I prefer you not to, because I'm going to roll my eyes. Like, they're going to come in on Wednesday. I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, please. Okay. Start thinking about the 5 people you're going to bring in here. It could be from other Facebook groups, could be other real estate investors and other mentorships you guys are in, those types of things. All right. So do we all understand what a transaction coordinator does? For me, guys, my transaction coordinator, here's what I do. I'm on the phone with a seller. Okay. Check this out. You guys want to see something super dope? I just released this actually in the sub 2 community this morning. But let's pull this up here. Let's pull up my Zoom account. I have gotten to a point where my transaction coordinator just does the paperwork and calls the seller directly, and I don't have to mess with it at all. Okay. So if you guys look at this, I'll do a screen share in just a second. Okay. If you guys look at this, you will see my transaction coordinator walking. This is Molly. You guys should know Molly. She's my operations manager. And she is walking my Robin Hurt, who's doing a deal with me. This is Robin. By the way, guys, Robin Hurt locked up her first deal yesterday, sub 2 deal. She's making $10,000 on a sub 2 deal. It's her first deal ever. It's a sub 2 deal, saving a lady from foreclosure. So this is Molly and Robin in a Zoom. If you are a sub 2 student, this was released this morning in our Facebook group. You guys can go and watch and see how this contract is filled out, etc. And so my transaction coordinator, once I get the seller on board, I'm out. Okay. My job is to go back into battle and go get another contract. Is my job as the person that's supposed to go make money for the business to sit there and do paperwork and track the title company and hope everything goes well? Hell no. That's why I delegate. I delegate to better people. Okay. Mike D, you don't need to know the title of that video because it's in the announcement section in Facebook. Okay. I work my ass off to make sure you guys have what you need, my brother. Okay. If we do a little screenshot search, guys, right here, I put it up 2 hours ago. So 5:30 this morning, I put it up, and the link is here. It's in the featured section. You don't even have to look for it. I put it right there for you. All right. So do we feel confident that we understand what a transaction coordinator does and how they can benefit you? Okay. I will never in my life do a deal without a transaction coordinator. Doesn't make any sense to me. It's like buying a car and doing your own oil changes and like switching out your own tires and doing all that kind of stuff. It's like, what are you doing? There's professionals that do that way faster, easier. Go out and go get more contracts. Okay. So, transaction coordinators, by the way, work for agents, right? So like here, let's talk about this for a second. You guys think that transaction coordinators, for some reason, you're thinking only investors use them. Agents use transaction coordinators all over the country. Okay. My wife was a transaction coordinator for a long time for a big group. Allison Gustafson, who is my, Allison Gustafson is my transaction coordinator, worked for other agents for 10 years, 12 years as a transaction coordinator just for agents before she came over to me and she learned creative finance. Okay. My previous transaction coordinator worked for agents for 15 years before she came to me and learned creative finance. Okay. So who is going to have access to a transaction coordinator in the upcoming challenge? Every single group. Okay. We have been training transaction coordinators in my sub 2 community for the last several months, and they are now ready to come out to the free group and start working with you guys on your cash deals. Okay. By the way, for any of you guys that have never joined sub 2, have you paid me $1? Have you guys ever pulled out a credit card and never paid me $1? How much value do you think I've given you as somebody who's never paid me $1? Here's the thing. You need to thank my sub 2 students and my transaction coordinators and my Gator lenders because they have paid money and they have sacrificed years of their life. So make sure you tell them thank you and make sure you show my sub 2 students appreciation. They have spent years of their life to get to a point where they can help lead you guys. And they are turning around and saying, how do we do deals together? Okay. Start your day and start your everything off with gratitude, 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 gratitude. You will be way happier in your life if you start off with gratitude. Okay. Okay, cool. So the, back to that Dave story, just real quick. I'll help you guys understand this last thing, and then we'll go back to my original, process, my thought process. Okay. So we now know what equity is, right? Equity is what you get in your pocket after everyone and everything is paid. Okay. Now, if Dave had to sell this property for $380,000, he would have lost money, about $20,000-$30,000. This is why he sold it to me for $372,788. Now, there was an agent in the deal. Okay. So obviously, Dave, who was selling his house on Sterling, had an agent representing him. Here's what happened. Dave actually didn't reach out to me. His agent reached out to me, and his agent says, Pace, I hear you're really creative. I have a seller that's in a bad situation. Can you help me? And I said, yeah, if I can pay you a referral fee of $2,500 and you get out of my way. The agent then hung up on me, and I was like, okay, I don't need the deal. No big deal. And then the very next day, the agent realized the situation they were in. So this agent then called me back up and said, how much did you say that referral fee was? I said, $2,500. Please get out of my way. Now, most of the time, that's not the situation I'm doing. Okay. The situation was that this agent had this house listed for 5.5 months and put the agent and a seller in a bad situation. Pay attention to me. The longer the house has been on the market, the more acceptable your creative finance offer will be. Repeat after me. The longer the listing has been on the market, the more acceptable your creative finance offer will be. Okay? Do we understand that? So if I get people go, hey, Pace, I found a really good opportunity. And I look at it, it's on market, it's 5 days. This is what my face looks like. I'm so disappointed. Okay? Don't waste your time on creative finance deals if they've only been in the market for a couple of days. Don't waste your time. Okay? Cash deals, that's a different story. We're going to show you guys how to find those cash deals. So anyway, in this deal, I paid Dave $2,500 and I paid the agent $2,500. And I make on that deal every single month, it's an Airbnb. I make about $3,500 net. Plus I've made about $300,000 in 36 months. So let's see. So I've made about $450,000 on that investment. So $5,000 investment turned into $450,000 in 3 years. Pretty decent. You can't be mad at that. Okay. That was through an agent. So guys, can I do cash deals through agents? Can I do creative finance deals through agents? All that kind of stuff. Okay. So here's a good question. So TNM Numa says, sometimes they can renew it, but how do you know if it was renewed? You call the agent, you ask them the question. Why would the seller renew a 6-month listing agreement, by the way? It's very rare. It's very, very rare. How much do you think that seller hates that agent at that point? Think they're super in love with that agent? Wasted half their life, half a year of their life, because the agent, before the agent got the contract, the 6-month listing contract, the agent probably was like, yeah, we can sell this house, no problem. I sold houses in this neighborhood all the time. I got all the buyers. Has anybody ever been lied to by an agent? And to their credit, the problem is homeowners. If you guys know, one of my most infamous sayings is buyers are liars, sellers are worse. Sellers are full of shit too, okay? They look at Zillow and they're like, that's my number. And sometimes they'll just add prices on it, but they don't understand the real value of a house. And that's where a good agent comes in and says, this is what your house is worth. And this is why it's worth it. And if you can't come to terms with that, I can't accept you. Okay. That's a good agent. Problem is, agents who are starving, do you think they're going to sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to risk not getting this listing agreement by telling the truth. It's kind of like contractors. They come to you and you go, can you do this budget for 20 grand? I sure can. Absolutely. I could, yeah, 20 grand? Yeah. At the end of the project, it's $57,000 of change orders. Okay. Guys, it's the same thing. Human beings suck. Okay. Just be aware of that. There's a reason why there's a 1% and a 99%. It's because 1% of people actually want to work and 99% of people make excuses and lie. Okay. Adriana says, aside from reputation, what ramifications are there for an agent to have so many expired listings? None. The real estate board doesn't give a shit. But of course, they want to regulate wholesalers, right? They want to regulate wholesalers. So you go get your license. That's a license to steal and lie to sellers all day long. And your big bad boy real estate, what do they call it? The NRE, NAR, the National Association of Realtors, is going to protect you. Okay. So again, this is only to get you to understand the climate and the environment you're walking into and not to be surprised, upset, frustrated. So again, how many offers do we need to make? So let's go through this KPI one more time. How many offers do we need to make in order to get a deal contracted? Okay, 25 offers equals 1 contract. Okay, if you make 24 offers and you get 0 contracts, you have the right to complain? Or do you just have the right to be grateful that you even know how to submit an offer? Gratitude, 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 gratitude. Okay. Also, same token here. This is another, I'm setting expectations for you guys. Let's say that I've submitted 94 offers and I've received 0 contracts. Should I complain? No. Because this is the law of averages. 25 offers equals 1 contract. Okay, because here's what'll typically happen. You make 94 offers and you're just getting better at it. You're better, repetition, repetition, repetition. You know what we call it? Wax on, wax off, baby. I'm going to Miyagi that ass. Okay? Am I going to complain? Or am I going to be grateful that I'm in the situation I'm in, that I'm getting to submit offers? Okay? Don't make me karate chop you and Miyagi your ass if you complain about your wax on, wax off. Some people in here have no idea what I'm talking about. There are people in here that have never seen the Karate Kid. Who has not seen the Karate Kid? We need to immediately remove you from here right now. Say me. Okay, Tyler, you're getting removed. Bye. Okay, so wax on, wax off. If you guys have seen that movie, it's one of the most famous lines of all time. So it's the law of averages, guys. So what'll happen is a lot of times people will submit 50 offers and they'll get 0 contracts. Okay. Pay attention to this. It's super important because people are going to come in and complain in these Zooms, and you guys need to do me a favor. Okay. You need to do me a favor and help people reassess their situation. And then what'll happen is they'll get to the 55th offer and they'll have 4 contracts. Right? And they beat the law of averages. Guys, this is what this business is. This is a guideline. 25 offers equals 1 contract is a guideline. Okay. It's a good barometer, good measurement tool. Okay. Ramon says he's literally standing on one right foot right now, doing the crane. The crane. Who remembers the crane? Don't make me put the crane to your brain. You know what I'm saying? Carolyn, can you show me the crane real fast? All right, cool. So 25 offers equals 1 contract. Now let's talk about financial gain here, okay? So out of 25 offers, 1 contract, I'm going to go submit 100 offers per month, And my goal is to get 4 contracts. So 1 contract per week. Okay. 100 offers, 4 contracts per week. Who am I submitting these offers to, by the way? There you go. Agents. We are not working direct to seller. Let's go back to the very top of this. Remember when I said I am not going to teach you direct to seller in this specific challenge. We are specifically teaching you guys to become wholesalers by submitting offers to agents on market deals through Privy. Okay? That sound cool, guys? All right. So we're going to submit these 100 offers. We're going to get 4 contracts. And if we are using a TC or a transaction coordinator, which we've already covered in depth for 20 minutes, what a TC is, transaction coordinator, we are going to get 2 of those to close. Now, the national average profit on an assignment contract is $15,000. So if you get 2 deals to close in a month, do you guys think that this would be a worthy goal to make $30,000 a month by getting 2 deals close? All right. Do you guys want some more expectations? Who wants more expectations? Here we go. All right. So it's currently July. Then we're going to be in August. Then we're going to be in September. Then we're going to be in October. Then we're going to be in November. You will not have your first $30,000 a month until October or November. And why is that? It's because an offer that you submit today goes into contract and sometimes takes 2 to 3 months to close. So you'll get 2 contracts here, they'll carry over. You'll get 2 contracts here, they'll carry over. And essentially starts compounding where those 2 contracts start closing. Okay. So you have to build a pipeline. Okay. You have to build a pipeline. Now, this is the basics because you see me educating you guys. Who's submitting offers on my team? Am I submitting offers on my team anymore? No, I built a business, right? What I'm teaching you guys to do is building a financial hobby. And at some point when you start delegating and hiring people, I will educate you guys on the wholesale side of things. I will educate you guys on how to delegate as we do more and more of these challenges. So if in July, our goal is to submit 966 offers during our challenge. In August, our goal is to submit 2,000 offers in our challenge. September, our goal is to submit 3,000 offers in our challenge. If we can get to September, I will start teaching you guys how to delegate and automate to a point where you can actually create a real business. Okay, but if we can't get to 3,000 offers submitted in one day, then I don't think that we're ready for it. I will give you what you are ready for when you are ready for it. Okay? So that is the ultimate goal of what we're trying to accomplish. Now, does that give you a good expectation of when you could actually make that much money? Because some people go, Pace, you told me that I could make this much money. I'm like, it's August and you've got 1 contract. Hello? Bueller? Like, are you there? Are you not paying attention? Remember that one time I did the Zoom on Sunday when I could be upstairs making love to my wife and making another baby? And I was giving you guys my time instead? And I taught you guys about the expectations of this type of business strategy. And you were paying attention, you were taking notes. And I circled the thing with the blue circle. Do you remember that? Oh yeah, I do remember that. Remember when I teased you and I referenced like it was like Quentin Tarantino where I gave you like a scene within a scene within a scene? Oh yeah, I do remember that. Okay. Guys, please remember I'm giving you the expectations right now. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you the next thing. I'm going to give you kind of a future understanding of this business. Okay. When you start making 30 grand a month in this business, you now have a complete different set of problems that I have not taught you about yet. Okay. No, taxes. I teach my students about taxes. Mike D says, why? What are they? Well, organization. Okay. Because very few of your parents ever taught you actually how to be a business owner. You now have a business. Okay. And so many people can't scale out of that business. So what they do is they just basically consume themselves with doing all the work themselves like a bunch of dummies. Like me, I did that for a long time like a dummy. Okay. My parents didn't teach. My parents taught me to work really hard. Whose parents taught them to work really hard? But how many of your parents sat you down and taught you how to balance finances, pay your taxes, invest in real estate? Anybody? What about delegating and leadership of employees? What about when do you give an employee a raise when they come to you and ask you? What happens when an employee is not doing their job properly? What about how do you do systems and operations, and how do you do SOPs, and how do you do an onboarding interview? How do you make sure you don't say anything stupid in the interview that sours the entire relationship of an employee? You guys understand that there are thousands of things that you don't know, and I'm coming to the very, very, very front of this to teach you. Getting things under contract will only create more problems for you, and we will collectively solve them together as my sub-2 students lead you, and as my transaction coordinators help you get through these transactions. You will then have new problems, and we can then have new conversations. That makes sense? All right. Who wants to get the hey Effie, do you have the oh never mind, I got it. You guys ready for the wholesale contract? You guys want to learn about some wholesale contracts for a little bit? Okay. Let's do it. This is the wholesale contract you need to use. And if you are a transaction coordinator or a gator, you need to make sure you are only doing deals with people who are using these contracts. And I will walk through that with you guys here right now. I only have an hour and 11 minutes. So let's go through this as quickly as possible. Have you guys learned a lot today? Are you guys glad that I stayed on task? You guys now are being trained to some degree that it's better for Pace to just do his own thing without people deviating him. Because I'll deviate myself, but I know how to come back. You know what I'm saying? All right. Hey, guys, I'm going to teach you something. I'm going to teach you guys something, okay? Everybody pay attention to this, because I'm going to scold all of you knuckleheads that do this. This is like one of those things that I wish I could stop people from doing, and they don't even know they're doing it, but I need to tell you you're doing it. So watch this. You see Todd Allen, Michigan, how he sent me a direct message. And then if I go over to my own chat right now and I go to type, I'm about to share a link with everybody. I'm literally about to share you a link with you. But what's going to happen is I'm going to go over there, and you guys don't know how hard it is to run. I've got screens, computers, audio. I've got a big screen in front of me. I'm coordinating like an orchestra better than you guys can even understand. I've had other people try and do this for me, and they're like, oh my gosh, dude, your setup stresses me out. So when I'm in the midst of educating and keeping people's attention and following through chronologically to make sure you deliver, you guys send me direct messages, and then I go to send a message or put something in the side link for everybody to see. And it only goes to who? Todd. I love you, Todd. You're appreciated. But please do not ever send me a private message. It's the only there's two pet peeves I have in my life. This one, and when the vacuum is left out in the hallway in my house. That's it. That's it. Okay. Please do not send me direct messages. Okay. I honestly, I don't mind the people drawing on the screen. I think they're okay. Do you guys want to know why I hate vacuums in the hallway? It's because I wake up at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm going through my freaking house, walking to my office, and there's a vacuum in the hallway and I fall over it and go right on my face. So what I started doing in my house is I go, okay, if this gets left out, it's getting thrown away. I've probably thrown away 6 or 7 vacuums in my house. It's just how I do it, you know? Just kidding. I've never done that. I'm just kidding. In my mind, I've done it, and that's okay. All right, here you go, guys. I've stopped the chat. Please make sure you copy and paste this because somebody's going to go, where's the link? The link is right here, guys. It is the wholesale. PSA stands for purchase and sale agreement. This contract has cost me well over $25,000 with over 17 different revisions as I have built my business and I have ran into and encountered new problems along the way. This is the best wholesale contract in the nation. I will put this wholesale contract up against anybody else's wholesale contract. I didn't write this. My attorney wrote this. This is written by an attorney who is licensed in both Arizona and Atlanta, which is a title state and an attorney state. This contract, listen to me because you will ask the question, works in every state in the United States. There's not a single state, even the ones with less teeth. I'll let you guess which ones that is. I'll give you a guess. It's not Arizona. We got all our teeth out here. Okay. Parts of Texas, Carolyn, just so you know, you guys are safe though. You're in DFW. You're safe. But you go a little bit outside of DFW, you start running into problems. Okay. All states can use this contract. Every single state can use this contract. I'm going to say it again with my right hand. Every single state can use this contract. And for people who have been on my lives, you know why I'm saying this so many times. If I haven't said it 1,000 times, I haven't said it once because there's one person that got up to go to the bathroom and comes back and sees the link and go, does this work in every state? Guys, please help me. Please help me not go into an insane asylum by just helping everybody else understand that this works in every state. But I bet the assignment contract does not work in every state, right? It does, of course. Both of these work in both states, okay? So please, I'm giving this to you. It has cost me over $25,000 to revise and revise and revise and revise. We will continue to revise them. As the longer I'm in business, I will give you guys in the free group, I will give you guys a $25,000 contract. I'm paying you to be in that free group. I'm paying you to be here. You have never paid me $1. You didn't pay me $1 to come into Facebook. You didn't pay me $1 to be here on this Zoom. I am giving you a gift. Please. Now, if it changes, don't get mad at me because it will change. They typically change every 3 to 6 months as we adjust and as we grow in our business. That changes based on little things we run into. Like, ooh, we should add that. Ooh, we got sued. We should change that. That hasn't happened in a long time, but that has happened. All right. I'm going to turn the chat back on. Please make sure you have copied and pasted this. I'm okay with you guys sharing this with everybody and your dog. Everybody. Share it with everybody. Unless they have an Android. If they have an Android, please do not share this with them. The Android users, oh my, I'm looking at your faces. I can look at the screen right now and I can see the Android users just like, I hate Pace's Android jokes. Okay. You can have this too. Okay. I've changed my mind. I will share this with Android users. Okay. Can you guys, I'm open up the chat. Have we all understand that this this contract. It's a wholesale contract and assignment contract. I'm going to walk through and explain to you why there are two and what they are for. Okay. I'm going to walk through them with you. You're more than welcome to click on them, download them, open them up yourself. If somebody in the free Facebook group says, can I get a copy of Pace's wholesale contract? What is the answer? Yes. Share it, share it, share it, share it. Free, 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 free. If you ask my sub 2 students for a sub 2 contract, what do you think they're going to say? If you ask my Gator lenders for a Gator contract, what are they going to say? A no. All right. Now, I've got a couple of questions. I'm going to turn off the chat for just a second. I've got a question about JV. Okay. I am going to release a JV contract on Wednesday to the people who show up for this challenge. You will get a JV contract on Wednesday. You see how I have to incentivize you guys to be consistent? Oh my gosh, I wish I didn't have to do that. I wish I could just tell you, here's how it benefits you, and you just show up. We're trying to change the world. We're trying to break a record, and I got to dangle a carrot in front of you to have you show up. Wednesday, I will give you a JV contract. Some people in here are saying, what's a JV contract? What's JV? Is he saying JV or Gary V? I don't know what he's saying. JV is an acronym, and it stands for joint venture. It means two people coming together and working a transaction together. It's very different than an assignment. An assignment and a JV are not the same thing. It is not the same thing to JV on a deal and assign a deal. They are not the same thing. All right. I'm going to turn the chat back on. Have I sufficiently answered the JV thing? Is somebody going to ask me about JV here in 2 seconds, or are we good? What day do you get your JV contract? Okay, the same day, 966 day, the same day we're going to submit 966 offers. Now, tomorrow on Monday and Tuesday, we're going to teach you guys how to submit offers. Okay, we're going to get into this. It's going to be fun. All right. Today, I'm just giving you guys some expectations because here's what's going to happen. You're going to talk to some agents on Monday and Tuesday, aren't you? And Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And a lot of the expectations I've given you have really crafted your mind to understand that you will run into a lot of agents who will cause you problems. Guys, do we get mad at fish when they can't climb a tree? Okay, stop expecting agents to know what you know. And be grateful that they're agents and not investors competing with you. Okay, have some pity on them. They haven't figured out the bright side of the world. Okay, cool. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through this wholesale contract. And I've got an hour to do so. I don't even need an hour. This wholesale contract is beautiful. It's very simple. I think we've got rid of all the somebody sent me an email. Hey, are you available for a quick 10-minute call? No, I'm not. I only want to do things for the masses. I don't want to do one-on-ones. I used to do one-on-ones all the time. I don't like one-on-ones because it steals the value from everybody else. All right. All right, so here we go. Let's jump into it. Let me pull this up and we'll go through it together. If you guys have questions, we'll see if we can get to them. Actually, here's what I want to do. Before we get into that, please pay attention. I want to explain to you what a purchase and sale agreement is. And I also want to explain what an assignment contract is, okay? So here's what's going to happen, guys. You guys are going to have sellers who have houses on Privy. And what's going to happen is your agents are going to be the people you submit offers to, okay? When you submit an offer, you can either A, do it with your contract, or B, if you are a licensed agent, you can do it with the MLS contract in your local state. A lot of times your agent will ask if they can just use their contract. And the answer is yes, they sure can. There's nothing wrong with using their contract as long as there's some stipulations, and we'll go through those maybe on Tuesday. Okay. So there you go. There's the answer to that question. Somebody will still ask it in the comments. If an agent says, I want to use my contract, what do we tell them? I tell them yes. I just want to add a couple of stipulations. Usually it's about 3 stipulations. Stips. We'll call them stips. Okay. So yeah, no problem. If we can just add a couple of stipulations, no big deal. I'd love to use yours. Okay. Mike D. I swear, Mike just said, guys, how will we know what to add? When did I say we were going to cover that? Guys, we got to pay attention. Mike's probably over looking at the contracts right now and not even paying attention to me. That I should not have given out the contracts yet, right? That's what I screwed up. I should not have given you the contracts yet, because then what happens is you're like a firefly going after a freaking a patio porch bug killer zapper thing. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Come on, guys. I literally just answered that question 30 seconds ago. And then you're asking yourselves, why am I not worth $100 million? Okay. Freddie says, I think everyone needs jumping jacks. Sometimes, guys, here's the thing. Sometimes I give you a hard time just to rattle you a little bit to get you back into focus. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just teaching a little bit, okay? It's just a little style I have. It keeps it fun for me too. I like to tease people. So this is you, okay, over here. This is you, and you are going to submit offers, and you're going to need to know how to use contracts, and you're going to need to know how to submit those offers. If you're smart, you just use a transaction coordinator, but it's up to you. Some people have broken minds and they just want to do things themselves. Those are the people that also have Androids and change their own oil. Sorry. How many people are mad at me about the Android stuff? Okay, I'm just joking. I have an Android. You guys just don't know it. The surprise is, I've been making all these iPhone jokes. I actually have an Android. Okay. All right. So you're going to make these offers. Now, guys, if I get an accepted offer, let's say this agent says, hey, yes, we love your offer. This is amazing. What happens, that we talked about this earlier, is we do something called go into what? We go into what? There you go. We go into escrow. If somebody says yes, we go into escrow. Escrow means transaction. Okay. It means that our transaction has started. So we actually take that contract, right, or that agreement, and we send that agreement to a title company. And the title company starts working on the cooking it up, right? They go, all right, what's the purchase price? What's the down payment? What's the earnest money? Guys, did you know that your seller's going to ask for earnest money? Who in here couldn't even afford Privy? You're definitely going to be worried about earnest money. I can tell you that right now. Okay. Who does not have, let's say 1,000? The average agent is going to ask for 1% earnest money. Okay. So let's say I'm getting a house under contract in Atlanta for $300,000. How much money they're going to ask me to put up front as earnest money? $3,000. Who is struggling to have $3,000 right now? Say me. Give me all the me's. Okay. This is why I'm putting a Gator lender on every single one of your guys' teams, because the Gator lenders can bring the $3,000 to the table. Does that make sense why I keep bringing up Gators? Are you guys now happy and excited that you don't have to worry about that $3,000 because I've solved that problem for you? Okay, perfect. All right, so now you guys kind of understand the basics of that. I'm going to ask you guys a very important question. Once I get a contract with a seller, right? Let's say I submit an offer. It doesn't matter which contract we use. I get a contract between me and the seller, right? I control this. What am I going to do with this? Are you guys going to fix and flip? Or are you guys going to try and wholesale? Most of the people that don't have $3,000, I suggest you don't try and fix and flip right now. Okay, perfect. So you guys are going to try and assign this to one of two people. A cash buyer who's going to then buy this, or B, somebody that you are going to JV with in this group. This is why you have a lot of the sub 2 leaders with you. A lot of sub 2 leaders, you can assign the deal to them and they'll go sell it for you. You'll get paid your commission. You'll get paid your assignment fee. So here's what you need. You need 2 contracts. Okay. We call this, the contract is the PSA, purchase and sale agreement. That's a contract. And then you're also going to have another contract right here called the assignment. Okay. We also call this the A to B contract, and we call this the B to C contract. Okay. Is that helpful for you guys to understand? There's 2 contracts in order for you to get paid. Okay. So you guys are B player, right? So A player this is A player. This is A here. Then you guys are B. And then your end buyer, right? Or the person you're JVing with is C. That's why we call it A to B contract and a B to C contract. Make sense? Everybody on the same page here? We feeling good? Maria says, yes, stop asking me to type in the chat when I'm trying to take notes here. I like it. Thank you, Maria. That's good. Maria got me. She got me. She's right. Leo says that he's right too. Gary, you're overthinking it already, brother. Patricia Murphy says this is direct to seller. Interesting, Patricia. This tells me that I'm a horrible educator. Patricia, can I talk to you for a second? Patricia? I'm asking. There you go.
Hi. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I sneezed. I stepped out, came back in. I'm sorry.
Okay. So
I'm embarrassed too.
don't be embarrassed. If you got lost, then somebody else might have gotten lost too. So this is good. So in this little diagram, do you see where you are?
Yes.
Okay. Who are you communicating with directly? Unfortunately, I didn't write the agent here.
Okay. All right. That's why I got lost. I'm sorry.
This is the seller. I also did explain this for about an hour, but you must have stepped out for a little while.
No, I have all that. I have all of that, but I thought you changed directions.
No, at the very beginning, I was talking about here. I said there's 3 ways that a seller can sell the property. There's property, and there was a third one up here, and I said they can sell the property directly. The seller can sell to a wholesaler or an investor.
Right.
And I said I'm not going to teach this, and I erased it.
Yeah, you did. So I just thought you switched direction for some reason. So
no worries. I'm glad you had the question. Did that help anybody else? Is that good? We're just teaching direct to agent right now. Okay, cool. Thank you for that question, Patricia. Okay. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. So we're all on the same page. We're not teaching you guys direct to seller right now. Maybe at some point in a future challenge, I will teach you direct to seller, but right now I'm just teaching you guys direct to agent. Okay. All right, so this is how this works. Let me go through this one more time. Okay, I'm going to go through it one more time. As much as it is painful, I'm going to go through it one more time. I only need like 20 minutes to go through the contract because I made them small. And by the way, I'm going to tell you guys something. If you guys are like one of these people that really is obsessed with contracts and asking me questions about contracts, you should probably just become a transaction coordinator in sub 2, because I can tell you most of you guys should not even care about what is on a contract. You should just go get offers submitted. Okay. The people who make the most money in this business are the ones that are making the most offers and talking to the most people. They're not the people who understand paperwork the most. In fact, I'm going to make an argument and say that most of the people who are making most of the money have never even opened up a contract in their life. Interesting to think about. So like while you guys are over here, like, I need to know what's in the contract, and you're trying to get all this confidence because you think that the contract language is going to come up. Okay. There's people that thrive on the paperwork, and those are my transaction coordinators inside of sub 2. Just leave the work to them. Okay. Leave the work to the professionals who know what the hell they're doing. Okay. So the people who are saying, I cannot stand paperwork, that's why TCs exist. You know what I'm saying? How do you make an offer if you're not submitting the purchase and sell agreement? Sometimes an offer can be made just via email. Okay. But you are going to submit the purchase and sell agreement, and the agent's going to come back and tell you if they're okay with the paperwork you submitted, or if they want to redo it with their own paperwork. Okay. You are going to submit the PSA, but you're not going to be if you have a TC, guess what? You are not the one submitting it. The transaction coordinator is going to make sure your paperwork is done right. And them and you will email the agent directly. Does that make sense? Did that help you answer your question? Cool, cool, cool. All right, cool. Let's do this one more time, and then I'm going to jump into the paperwork. All right. There are sellers with houses for sale currently on Privy. Okay. Those sellers are being represented by agents. I spent a lot of time giving you expectations around agents, and I also gave you a lot of clarity today of how many times you're going to have to submit paperwork or offers to these agents. How many offers am I going to have to submit to get one contract, guys? 25. Now, the great thing is on my side, I'm going to hire a TC, right? This is you. My TC is going to help me out with all the things I spent 20 minutes explaining to you what they do. They're going to help you draft the paperwork. They're going to help you communicate with the agent. They're going to help you do a lot of that kind of stuff. That's what they're there for. Okay. Then once you get a contract right here, this is called an A to B contract, because this is a party right here. We'll give them orange, because orange, you glad that you're not an agent? That was funny. That was a good suitable for a Sunday joke. Okay, give credit where credit's due, you know what I'm saying? All right. So this group right here is, we're going to call them A group. Okay? This is A group. They're the ones that are selling the house. So it starts with, the alphabet starts with A, so does the transaction. The transaction starts with the seller. This is why we call this A group. Okay? Now, B group, okay, is right here. This is B group. Okay, and you guys are B group. Okay, because it goes down the line. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Okay, got it. So now, when you guys get this contract, right, successfully written contract, and your seller says, hey, we like this, and they give you a nice fancy check mark. Yeah, we like this. We accept. What's going to happen is you are immediately going to go into what we call this magical world of escrow. It's right next to Narnia. Okay. Escrow just means you've started the transaction and you need to go to a title company or a closing attorney and open escrow. It's very simple. We'll show you guys how to do that sometime this next week. Okay. But now that I've got an accepted contract, I got to find a customer. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, me and my group, we're going to go and find either a JV partner, somebody who already has buyers, and we're going to assign it to them, or B, we're going to go find an actual buyer and we're going to assign it to them. Either way is acceptable. Okay, so this is C group. This is who is going to buy the deal from you. Okay, this is C group down here. Okay, and when you talk about A to B and B to C, this is what we're talking about. Okay, so now you're going to have two contracts. You're going to have the contract right here. We already talked about contract number 1 is between A and B, and you're going to have another contract that is between B and C. Okay, this contract is called a purchase and sale agreement, PSA. This contract here is called an assignment. Because what you're doing is you're taking all the words in this contract and you're assigning the rights to this contract to one of these buyers. That is why we call it an assignment, is because we are assigning the rights of this contract, my A to B contract. We are assigning the rights of it to our buyer. And this is how we know how much money we make on the deal, is we put it inside the assignment. Okay, everybody understand where we're at on this? Does this help you guys out? Was it good that I went through this a second time? Robert Wesner says, finally, I get this, guys. Give Robert some love. He's the guy that I yelled at the other day about having that negative comment. He just had a little epiphany. So let's give, again, line upon line, precept upon precept. It is perfectly fine for you to slowly, gradually move forward. This is why we call this the elephant challenges. One bite at a time. Everybody feel good? If you did nothing else today, you are here to witness Robert have an epiphany. And that is super dope. Respect. And respect to all of you guys for the support you gave to our homeboy Robert, who took the brunt of my strong words the other day. I can tell you, I did get a voice memo. I could play it for you. I got a voice memo. It was 2 minutes long that somebody else said, because of your call to Robert and you putting that on here, it rattled my cage. And I realized that I have been negative in my life as well. And she sat there and gave me a 2-minute voice memo about how grateful she was for that. So Robert, good job. And good job still showing up, because other people would have been embarrassed by being spanked on the butt in front of 1,000 people. And you weren't. You're a big boy and you're moving forward. You're a badass. All right, cool. So let's jump into the contracts. Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. I can't believe we have, between YouTube and here on our live Zoom, we have about 900 people. That's pretty cool on a Sunday. Dang, guys, that's pretty dope. Got a lot of people in here. Guys, a smart thing for you guys to do, just so you know, is to download this in your own Dropbox. All right, so here we go. This is, for any of you guys that know my attorney is the greatest attorney of all time. Okay, purchase contract and escrow instructions. The escrow instructions, that means that we are referencing to the title company. So when the title company sees the escrow instructions, they go, oh, perfect. You're giving me the ingredients to cook up a tasty dish. This is all a purchase and sell agreement is instructions, ingredients for them to cook something up, all right? The purchase and sell agreement and escrow instructions, a contract is effective as of the latest date it is executed by the parties. That's interesting, because if you come down here, you will see the date approved and accepted by the buyer, approved and accepted by the seller. Whatever the last date in one of these date spots is the date that this is actually effective, okay? And it compromises the entire agreement between the seller and buyer, collectively the parties, all right? So this big old area right here is where we put the address. The legal description is an APN. We'll show you guys how to fill that in and find that. But honestly, 90% of the time, I'm not the one that fills that out. If I'm ever in person with the seller, I just fill out the property address. I leave these blanks and my team fills the other stuff in. Earnest money. Okay. Earnest money. Michael Barcina, is that an Android? I didn't know they had texting. Are you using texting capability? Do the Androids now have the ability to text? Oh, and call? I thought they were just calculators. I'm sorry. Just trying to keep it light on Sunday morning. Okay, so earnest money. Let me explain to you guys what earnest money is real quick. Let's keep it super simple. When you get into a contract with somebody, it's the "are you serious" deposit. That's what earnest money is. Are you serious about this transaction? Then go put $1,000 at the title company to show me you're serious. That's earnest money. Skin in the game. Okay, so if I get a house under contract for $200,000 and the agent says that I have to put 2% down for earnest money the day we sign the contract, how much money am I putting in for earnest money? $2,000. Now, if I'm broke as a joke, where does that $2,000 come from? A gator, right? A gator lender. Somebody comes in with $2,000 and lends you that money, and they take a portion of your profits on your deal for bringing money to the table to make it work. Okay. All right. That's where that earnest money comes from if you're broke. Okay. I don't use gators anymore, but I used to use gators all the time. That's how I know what a gator is. All right. So that $2,000, if I'm buying something for $200 and then I give $2,000 to the title company, how much money do I have to bring to the title company in 30 days to finalize that transaction? $198,000 if I'm the buyer. Or my buyer that I'm assigning it to has to bring 198 plus whatever my assignment fee is. And we'll get to that in just a minute. Okay. So earnest money is not just free money that the seller gets. It actually reduces it. Okay. Guys, the way I structure my transaction coordinator cost is I have my buyer pay for the transaction coordinator cost. Okay. That's how I structure it. Just FYI. Can somebody please post a link to the contracts? I sure can. We sure will. We will do that again. Happy to do it. I'm giving you both the wholesale purchase and sell agreement. By the way, I'm going to send you a bill for 25 grand in 4 years of my life because that's what it cost me to put these contracts together. None of you are going to pay it, but that's okay. If I come to your town and you don't give me my $25,000, I will take an ice cream cone and maybe a burger in lieu of that. Okay. All right. So are we feeling pretty confident on earnest money? Do we know what earnest money is? We don't need to hit home on it too much. Okay, cool. So close of escrow is the day the transaction's supposed to finalize. That's, all these real estate people, they could have just, here's what would have been cool is if they just changed the close of escrow to end of the transaction. That's what close of escrow means. The day we're supposed to finalize everything. Okay. The escrow agent, that's who's going to work at the title company to do all the work. Okay. Escrow agent. Here's the seller's info. Do you guys feel like the first page of this contract is really hard to fill out and hard to understand? Look, this is a whole page of a contract. It's literally address, how much earnest money, purchase price, who's the what day are we going to close, and who's going to be part of the transaction. It's so easy. It's so basic. Okay, we feel good about this. I've made this thing so easy. Now, next one is the buyer. Okay, you guys will see. You don't need to say and or assignee right here because I say it later in the contract. Okay, inspection period. That means usually 10 days is the standard. Okay, what does 10 days mean? It means that if I get under contract with a seller It means I have 10 days to try and find a buyer. Do I give my buyer an inspection period of 10 days? The answer is no, you do not. I don't give my buyers any inspection period. No inspection period for my buyer because I need the 10-day inspection period to find that buyer. Okay? It is 10 total days. 10 total days. 10 total days. Great question. All right. So now this is in here. This is in here. This is typically a negotiating thing for me. I always click when I send over the offer. I always click 50-50. Okay. 50% by the buyer. Okay. 50% by the buyer or I'm sorry, 50% by the buyer and seller. So we split them. I usually click all three of these because then it gives me a negotiating strategy later where they go, well, you know, our purchase price needs to go higher or this or that or whatever. I go, okay, well, I'll pay for the closing costs. Guys, who's really the one? When do I give EMD? Immediately. You give EMD the day you sign your contract. You sign a contract, you open escrow that day. You go open escrow at a title company that day. And you put earnest money in that day. Earnest money is due immediately. If you are one of these wholesalers that's out there not putting in earnest money, please quit this business. You have no right to be in this business if you're trying to play those games. Do not play those games. Earnest money gets deposited immediately. Okay. And if you are out there learning from wholesalers who are influencers saying, use your buyer's EMD, well, you better have your buyer lined up before you get the house under contract. Do not be one of those wholesalers. It's like, yeah, use your inspection period and don't put your earnest money in. That is illegal. And that is what gives us wholesalers a bad name is you and your poor mentors that teach you incorrectly. That is not the correct way to run a business. Okay? What if the seller backs out? The seller can't back out. Guys, stop asking that question. The seller can't back out of a contract. Don't ever ask me that question again. I'll karate chop the crap out of you. The seller cannot legally back out of a contract with you. The buyer can, but guess what the buyer loses? The buyer loses their earnest money. Okay? What about when they ask for a proof of funds? Well, I'll provide a proof of funds for anybody that's in this challenge with us. Okay? If you commit to, guys, if you negotiate, Chelsea Cummings says, if you negotiate to a 0 EMD, do not do that either. Chelsea, I love you and I appreciate you, but do not ever negotiate to a $0 EMD. I have stood in front of a judge over a $0 EMD. You have not consummated the contract with a zero. It's called consummating the contract. Okay. And it's called consideration. In legal terms, it's called consideration. You did not show any consideration on that contract. And if for some reason there's a dispute and the judge sees that you put $0 earnest money, they go, you weren't serious about this in the first place. You did not offer consideration and you did not consummate the contract. I know these are weird phrases for other people. Don't ever have a $0 EMD, ever, 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 under no circumstances, ever. Okay. Will an agent take that contract? Yes, they will. Is there a legal problem if you can't find a buyer, even if the inspection period passes? Is there a legal problem? No, you're just a piece of shit. I mean, you should have, if you didn't have a buyer, you should have canceled during your inspection period, right? You have 10 days to find a buyer. So let's say you're on the 9th day and you haven't found a buyer. Wouldn't it be professional for you to just cancel during the inspection period? How do I know this stuff? Because I've done it. I was one of those pieces of crap that did things the wrong way because I didn't know. Somebody taught me the wrong way. Okay? I was that guy. I've learned this stuff the hard way. I've done everything I'm saying people are pieces of shit for, I was a piece of shit for. Yes, Sebastian Angel, you get your earnest money back during your inspection period. Okay? Mike, we already answered the 10 business days or 10 actual days. Okay. What is a decent timeline for inspection period? Standard, we've already covered this. Standard time frame nationwide is 10 days. Okay. If I were you, I would spend more time negotiating a longer inspection period. But here's the thing, guys, is that your seller and your agent are going to know what you're doing. Okay. Very good to know. Person that trained me said no EMD is necessary if seller agrees to zero. They are that is an illegal stance. Whoever taught her that did not teach her the right way. What if the seller was not some wants non-refundable EMD? Well, then you better have a buyer. Who chooses the escrow agent? Typically the seller does. Okay. How do you get enough time to get the Gator money for the deal? The Gator's already in your accountability group. They are going to be in your accountability group. Okay. Lupita says, exactly. When you say those things, knuckleheads, it's because you were there, not to insult you. Guys, I've been there. I've been a knucklehead. Sometimes I still am a knucklehead. I've been a piece of crap, and I still sometimes I'm in a piece of crap. I'm trying to improve every single day. It's not to insult you guys. It's to let you understand that these are the wrong ways to do them. I've done them all the wrong way. I still have things I'm learning even every month. Like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. It's okay to continually learn. Okay. Escrow agent is the title company. Technically, no, they are not. But we all use that word interchangeably. If you guys want me to get into a title and escrow conversation, I can do that, but that's going to deviate us very far. Don't worry about that. Okay. Does anyone do business with an investor-friendly title company in Los Angeles? Yes, a lot of our students do. Yes. If you are a sub-2 student and a leader, you will be leading accountability groups, and they will be introducing you to investor-friendly title companies across the nation. You don't need to worry about that. Can you lowball? Today, I've learned the answers to all my questions and around purchase contracts, assignment agreements, and EMDs. Thank you, Pace. Absolutely. Seller chooses escrow agent. So we get the contract to the Gator before we submit to the seller. No, you let you can submit the offer. Okay. You can submit the offer to the, what I would do if I'm brand new is I'm going to have an accountability group, right? We're going to have 50 teams. I'm going to have an accountability group. I would say, hey guys, please double check this. If I filled it out correctly, verify with the TC, verify with the Gator, like, hey, is this all good? And then send over the offer. This is why we are building accountability groups. Wouldn't that give you guys some extra value to make sure you have people edify and clarify and look at all your kind of stuff? Would that help you guys out? Mark, how to get into an accountability group? Show up on Saturdays when we talk about it for an hour and a half. At this point, the only thing you can do is jump into a time machine and go back to Saturday. No, we're going to release it tomorrow during the challenge, everybody. Just FYI. Okay. On tomorrow, we're going to release the teams. We're going to have a Google sheet for everybody on the team to get on the teams. Okay. Does everybody now have that answer? Are we feeling good? Can you use my escrow company nationwide? No, I'm only in 3 states right now. In 5 years, I'll be in all 50. I don't know the time yet, guys. I'm working on my own schedule. I have we're probably going to do it a little bit late in the evening, right after Wholesale Hotline, I would imagine. Okay, we're going to do it after Wholesale Hotline because I got to be on the TV set tomorrow. Unfortunately, A&E's got me working tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to do it late. Like for some of you guys on the East Coast, it's going to be like 9:30. Okay, I'm sorry. For some of you guys on the West Coast, it's going to be 6:30. All right. You guys are asking too many questions. So I'm going to turn off the chat. You guys, we got to stay on task. How about that? Y'all, here you guys want to know one of the many reasons why you're failing is you're asking questions on step 10 and you haven't even finished step 2. That is literally why you are failing in a lot of areas of your life is your brain's so fast. You're already creating tripwires and hurdles for yourself 10 steps down the road. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. They're good questions, but they're misplaced and misguided. They need to be asked at the appropriate times. Okay. All right. So additional terms and conditions, this little area right here, this is where like a seller needs to stay in the property or the seller's like, Pace, I've had all sorts of stories here. Like you wouldn't even imagine what I've written in here. I've had sellers say, I need PACE to help me move. I need PACE to do this. I need to live in the property for 2 months. I need you to, deliver pizza and beer to me, whatever it is. And I think you guys think that's a joke. It's not. We actually just closed on a sub-2 deal. We're right in here. Molly and Sandra White wrote a contract that stated we were delivering pizza and Pepsi to the seller. It was in the contract. You can write whatever you want in here. Okay. Okay, this is just about the occupancy. Does the seller, is the property vacant? Is it not vacant? It's not super important. Okay. Purchase and sell the property. Okay, great. It's basic stuff. We're going to talk about title search. Okay. And this is going to talk about I'm not going to go into that too much. I'm not going to overwhelm you guys. Lead-based paint disclosure. Okay, who cares about that? Who cares about that? Okay, this is very important. Check this out. This is what gives you the ability to get your wholesalers in the property or your buyers in the property. Okay. By inspection and access, in buyer's sole and absolute discretion may through written notice to the seller, cancel this contract during the inspection period set forth in section 1.9 and obtain a return of earnest money and any other items or things of value given by the buyer to the seller. Okay, so you guys need to worry about your earnest money with my contract? No. Seller shall provide access to the property to the buyer and make the property reasonably available to the buyer and the buyer's authorized individuals. Who would be the buyer's authorized individual, everybody? I'll open up the chat. Let's fill it up. What are the buyer's authorized individuals? How about your actual buyer, your cash buyer, or another JV partner, right? Are you guys liking this contract? This is, by the way, this is not in any other, literally this paragraph is not in any other wholesaler's contract in the nation. And you can send your other mentors a copy of this contract and say, hey, you know that wholesale contract I pay you $10,000 for your mentorship? Here's a better one. Just thought you'd like it to have it. Feel free to share it with them. Okay. Seller to keep and maintain utility service. Okay, great. As is purchase, blah, blah, blah. Here you go. This is also not in a single wholesale contract in the nation. There's not a single educator that teaches wholesale that has this in their contract right here. Not a single one. Instruction to release the deposit upon cancellation during the inspection period. Seller hereby irrevocably instructs the escrow agent to return the deposit to the buyer or to any person or entity designated by the buyer to receive the deposit. Okay. If the buyer elects to cancel this contract during the inspection period and no further written instructions are required for escrow agent to release the deposit. Why is this important? Is because in some of your guys' horrible states, California, Texas, you guys have to have dual release of your earnest money. This gets rid of that. Anastasia, my brother Jerry Norton does have it because I shared it with him. I love Jerry. Escrow, closing attorneys, closing costs and proration, seller and buyer to blah, 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 blah. Who cares about that? Okay. Okay. We're going to get to the good stuff. A couple of good things. Okay. Here we go. Right here. This one's very important. And then the next one's very important too. Buyer may assign this contract or any of its rights hereunder to any person, partnership, corporation, or other entity without notice to the seller. Seller's consent to such assignment is not required. Buyer's marketing of its current is contract interest. Buyer has the right to market its contract interest in the property, which may include, but is not limited to, listing the property and buyer's contract information interest on the property on any multiple listing service. That means I can buy a deal Guys, Todd says this is an amazing contract. Guys, I'm telling you, nobody has this good of a contract. Nobody, except for you. Imagine my creative finance contracts. They're 1,000 times better. But this is a great one for all of you guys, okay? Seller hereby appoints buyer as its attorney in fact with the full power and authority to act in the same and place of seller for the execution and any of all documents necessary to list the property and buyer's contract interest in the property on the MLS. So can I sell this on the MLS? Do I ever have to have a question about Pace? Can we use this contract to relist a deal on the MLS? All right. Okay, time is of the essence. Okay, great. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? Okay, this one is also, the only person that should have this is Jerry Norton, because I shared this with Jerry. Memorandum of contract. The seller agrees that buyer may record a memorandum of this contract. The seller is giving you permission to file a memorandum right here in section 13.8. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Extension. Close of escrow date may be extended one time by up to 14 days upon written notice by either party to the other without requiring additional signatures from the parties herein. Hey, Kosh, if you need to learn what a memorandum of contract is, go type in Pace Morby memorandum on YouTube. Okay. Pace Morby memorandum. Memorandum. I've never heard of when people say stuff to me about memorandums not allowed in your state. I've never heard of anybody in any state actually being right about that. Where did you hear that from? You're a broker, another investor that doesn't know what they're talking about. We've filed a memorandum in just about every state. Sometimes they're called something different. Okay, but you can file a memorandum, and yeah, you probably heard it from a title company. No, it's not right. There's every single state you can file a memorandum. It's called a notice of interest in some states. Okay. So here you go. Here's the contract. That's the contract. That's it. Okay. Now, page 7 is the end of that. Okay. Pretty easy to fill out. You guys probably don't need a lot to fill out, right? There's not a lot to fill out. Creative finance contracts are actually way more challenging to fill out. Okay. Pretty simple. Thank you for that, Lamar. Lamar gave you the YouTube video. Actually, there's a way better one. Hold on, I'll pull it up. Sean St. Clair is the attorney who wrote this. Sean St. Clair on Wholesale Hotline. I have him come in and let's see, memorandum when wholesaling. There you go. Boom. I'll give it to you guys. Just give me 1 second. It's a 2-hour one. We bring in the actual attorney that wrote this contract for you guys. Okay. There's the YouTube video. If you guys need to go learn what a memorandum of contract is, please go and watch that video. Okay. All righty. There's that contract. Now I've got just a couple of minutes. Has this been good this morning, guys? Have you guys enjoyed this, even if you're over on YouTube? All right. I'm legit telling you, I've paid for wholesale mentorships, and I just gave you more in 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 46 minutes than I did in $10,000 mentorships. There's people that have signed up for $60,000 mentorships for like Rich Dad, Poor Dad and stuff like that, that just got more in this than they did in those. I've seen their trainings. This is, all right. I know I'm not screen sharing right now. I'm pulling it up. Hold on a second. Takes a lot, guys. Doing all this does a lot. All right. All right, here's the assignment contract. So once I get a property under contract and I want to now assign it to a buyer, this is the contract we use, okay? So assignment of purchase contract and escrow instructions. So pretty simple, okay? The assignor is you. We should fill that in and write you, because people don't know the difference between assigner and assignee. Assignor is you. Assignee is the person receiving, okay? Property. Assignee purchase price. So guys, are we putting how much I'm making on the assignment right here, or just the total price they're paying? Total price. Okay. You don't need to share that with them. A lot of times I share it with people like, I'm making 30 grand, I'm making 40 grand, I'm making $1 million, I'm making 25 billion. My buyers don't care. It's just as long as it makes sense. Okay. Assignee earnest money. So now whatever your earnest money is, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a hack. Okay. Pay attention to this. Here's a little hack. Okay. So if your deal here, right, going back to our little diagram, if my A to B contract states that I have to put, let's say $5,000 for earnest money, I'm going to give you a little hack. I would make sure that my assignment contract states at least $5,000. That's kind of you should be aware of that. But what I would do is I would add money to this. I would do like $7,500 or $10,000 non-refundable, because if they cancel, here's what happens. Your buyer gets your seller gets their $5,000 if you guys go past the inspection period, and you still make $5,000 for the trouble of your buyer failing. Does that make sense? So I would give your buyer a larger assignment fee. I did not know this for the first 2 years of me being in wholesale. I did not know I could do that. Crazy. Didn't know I could do that. And then when I started doing that, I was like, even when my buyer canceled on me, I let my seller keep the earnest money because that's the right thing to do. And then I got paid even when my buyer canceled. Laura Smith, can I please repeat? Only if you tell me why you didn't understand it. Because I need to know where I went wrong. Okay. Oh, you guys walked away. Okay. No problem. Just want to make sure I didn't screw up. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do that again. That's why we can't have nice things. Just kidding. Okay. So let's say in my A to B contract, I have my agent says, well, yeah, no problem, Pace, but you got to put $5,000 earnest money down, right? Cool. Well, then I'm going to go over to my assignment contract, the paperwork I'm going through, and I'm going to ask my buyer to put at least $10,000 in as a non-refundable, because if they back out, then I still get paid, because what's going to happen is out of that $10,000, $5,000 is going to go to my seller because we are past our inspection period. And then the other $5,000 that's left over goes to me and my gator, and maybe my TC needs to get paid, and me. So everybody gets paid in that situation. So I would always make sure that you are having your buyer have a larger, yes, that is correct. This is not your assignment fee. Yes, Renee, they can. Remember, Renee, I said that if it's after your inspection period. Okay. If it's after your inspection period. All right. So you want to make sure you protect yourself. And when you are putting it in here, make sure you're putting assignee earnest money larger than what your earnest money was to your buyer. Everybody on the same page here. Okay. Your close of escrow date, I'm going to tell you guys right now, smart thing for you guys to do is make your close of escrow date 2 to 3 days sooner than your actual close of escrow date to make sure that your buyer is moving their ass as fast as possible. Okay. Here you go. I also make it so this assignment, okay, I want clarification of what's going on here. Listen to this. This is where relationships get really tricky in wholesale. Okay. This is why people hate what we call daisy chainers. Okay. Here's a seller. Here's an agent. Here's you. You guys have a contract. You go find somebody to get a contract and they lie to you and they say, I'm the buyer. But what they really are is a wholesaler. So then they go assign it to another wholesaler and they lie and say they're a buyer. And then it goes on and on and on. I had a transaction that had 16 daisy chains on it. 16. This is so bad in some markets that your title company will actually charge $250 every time there's an assignment because they're sick of dealing with so many freaking wholesalers. Okay. That's a good one, Carolyn. She says more like crazy chain. Everybody made like $3,000. It's like everybody's just trying to make $3,000. This happens all the time. Okay. What is the difference between a wholesaler and a daisy chainer? A wholesaler communicates and tells the truth. They say, hey, I'm actually going to reassign this to my buyer. Cool. I don't care if you make some bucks and somebody else makes some bucks. Just don't be a daisy chainer and lie to me and tell me you are the buyer when you're not the buyer. Don't lie to me. Because when I'm working with an agent and I need to be professional and a seller is making, okay, that's why I changed my contract. This is what's super important about my assignment. Again, my assignment contract is the best in the business because it forces your person that you're selling the deal to tell you what's going on. And you can tell them this agreement is non-assignable. So your title company will prevent them from being able to assign this again. Or you can say, I'm okay with you assigning it, but I need the assignor and I need their information. Because I'm not going to be disconnected to the point where I don't know what the hell's going on my own transaction. Okay. There you go. That's it. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Nope. Tim, you don't need to initial anything if you sign the box and you have people sign the contract, right? Kelly wants us to show you how to present a deal. Kelly, I'm not going to do that today. I gave you 3 hours on a Sunday. Yes, Dennis, you did see extension of an inspection period. I honestly feel like I've given you a lot to digest today. If I give you more, it's going to deviate. Okay. So I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to answer any more questions. Ariane, are you guys feeling confident? You guys at least know this far. By the way, we started on Monday. Here we are on Sunday. We haven't even been doing this a week. Does everybody feel 10 days or 100 days confident or 6 months confident? There's people have been trying to learn this business on YouTube for like 2 years, haven't paid anybody any mentor money, and they're not part of a community. They're out there floundering and just guessing what videos they should be watching. I probably just taught you more in this 3 hours than you did in 2 years of your life. Megan says, that's me. And Chris says, it's been a year and lost a lot of money. All right. So here's what we're going to do tomorrow. I'm going to give you guys the link for the Gator Challenge. I'm going to change. It's going to be actually the same link. Okay. Same link, but I'm going to change. I'm going to edit the time. Okay. Okay. The Elephant Challenge. Week 2 is starting tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. after Wholesale Hotline. Okay, I have to be on set for the TV show tomorrow, so I luckily got this last week off. I was able to spend middle of the day with you guys. So tomorrow I'll probably put in a good 18 to 20 hour workday. Happy to do it. Okay, take that link. I'm not going to let anybody communicate in the side chat. Please make sure you take that link. That is the link tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. for the only time zone that even matters in the world, Arizona time. Because we're the only people that don't change our time zone twice a year like a bunch of knuckleheads. All right. And if you guys are on YouTube, I just gave you guys the link as well. Please make sure you guys come into the Zoom. All right. So tomorrow I'm opening up the chat so we can chat again. You guys should all have that link. Please help and share with each other. Tomorrow and Tuesday. Okay, tomorrow and Tuesday, what we're going to be doing is showing you guys how to submit offers to agents. Okay, the Privy link, guys, is getprivynow.com/Laura, my wife, and you make sure you use the code PACE. What's going to happen is everybody that uses the code PACE will have access to the additional trainings with Privy. If you do not, I can't help you. I'm so sorry. Okay. 6:30 p.m. Arizona time, the only time zone that actually matters. So sorry that if you guys live in some state that changes your time zone twice a year. Is it legal for someone to assign a PSA? Mac. Oh my gosh, Mac. Did you just tune in? Mac. Mac?
Yes, hello.
Mac, how did you miss the whole assignment of PSA portion that I went over for 20 minutes?
I think it was probably just my computer glitching because I've had problems with it for days.
So we went through a wholesale contract or a purchase and sell contract for about 30, 40 minutes. And then we went through an assignment contract for about 20 minutes, showing you that you can assign a wholesale purchase and sell agreement.
Okay, I just missed that part. Must have sneezed, I'm sorry.
That's a long sneeze. It's about an hour-long sneeze. I asked this question to you guys because I want to make sure I'm not missing my my ability to educate. Am I screwing up, or did Mac show up late? I need to know. Okay. He must have. Did I go too fast for that, guys? Or did I lay that out properly? Did you guys get that? Okay. Just want to make sure. I don't mind people asking the question. It gives me like, I get self-conscious, like I'm not doing a good job. So, all right, cool. I will be emailing out days 1 through 5 replay. I will be emailing out Benson's replays for the Monday through Friday additional training, yesterday's training and today's training. I'll email that to everybody that is a Privy client. And I will see you guys tomorrow on the Elephant Challenge, 6:30 p.m. Arizona time. Please share the link, grab your friends.